getting a few training bits. Oh, well, I guess we're kind of not, well, maybe, whatever. Hello, YouTube. Sorry about the delay. We were getting some technical bits and bits and pieces of training done. We are here as per the channel page to have a chat here about Digital Homicide and their decision to pull the ultimate stupid and sue Jim Sterling. Mostly for being a poo-poo meanie head on towards them on the internet. I am Kage, the annoying atheist, your host tonight, and with me I have Zaxtor99, who has, I think, done probably maybe, well, he's probably done a little bit more research into it than I have. I've only had about the last 24 hours or so to really get stuck into it. How about you okay over there, Zach? Say hello to the folks.
Hello, everybody.
All right. Zach has got some footage for us here in a couple of minutes, but I thought I'd start out by going over the game that started it all, and that would be the Slaughtering Grounds. This was not a great thing, actually. I've seen better. I have seen and probably would expect better out of my 6-year-old. Well, okay. Yeah. 1,830 odd reviews and all mostly negative. I don't. Digital Homicide is renowned at this point for just fantastic meltdown type things. They are just wrong in so many ways. As some other people have said, I think some people, present company included, Digital Homicide has done a whole bunch of damage to itself. It's certainly far more than I think Jim could have done. Not that I necessarily always agree with what Jim has to say or Jim's politics or what the hell ever. Those things are irrelevant. At this point, Jim did what he does, what most people would expect him to do, and what most people with a brain could and should expect when they put shite on the internet, or at least on Steam, because he seems to like to lurk there. Of course, the Romine brothers aren't the only folks that have done stupid shit like this. There are probably loads and loads and loads more. Well, certainly there have been a few that have tried to bust it, that have tried to bust his chops. All right, so why don't we get stuck into it, Zax?
All righty, so let me go ahead and try to boot this up. Be patient with me, whoever's watching, because I am going to give me just a moment here.
Okay, I have killed my screen share, so let's have a look. Apparently, we're boring the one viewer we've got. That's kind of interesting. It keeps kind of up and down, up and down, up and down, and I'm not sure why. Let me just go ahead and do this.
Seen anything?
I am not currently. Well, okay, hang on. That's because I'm an idiot. That's all right. Go ahead. Nope, you're good.
Is some of my gameplay footage from when I did a review back this last November, a few months ago.
Okay. Let's make sure do you have a present to everyone thing up there? You should have a button for that. If you do, click it.
Present to everyone.
There we go.
Seeing it now?
Yep, I see it.
Okay.
Provided it'll stay up. That's okay. We're getting there. We're getting there. All right. Okay, that was just me being silly. Right. Let's do this thing. One of the things I found interesting is their very first character, Snake, I think he's called. Is that his name? This is Bob. Bob sucks. He's got a FAMAS and an AK-47, and neither one of them are particularly useful. In fact, all he has on him is 2 assault weapons. I think the cop had a model 1911. Yep, there he is with his model. That's actually a Beretta 9mm. But Snake with his shotgun is probably the most effective character the game has, and even that's kind of iffy.
Oh, you played more than I did, because I think I played one character and that was it. I had enough.
Well, you played that first guy there. That's Snake.
Yep.
He's got that stupid revolver, which is absolutely useless. Well, not absolutely useless. You can still kill these critters in 2 shots. But his shotgun is far more effective. A couple of things of note here is that when you die, you don't actually lose your ammo. You have to select the weapon, and you still have your ammo. So when you push the button, which actually changes from time to time, it could be on 2 turns into 1 every so often. Bad math. Bad maths are bad. That was a bug that I found when I went digging through it. But I spent about 90 minutes or so with it.
Wow.
Back in early November, and holy crap.
So here I'm finally starting. I think I was talking about the menu items a lot. And
we spent a bunch of time talking about it. See the thing. Yeah. There's your shotgun. You don't have very much ammo for it, but Jim had to run. Jim didn't find a single ammo box for quite some time. It was actually kind of funny. Yeah, I don't understand how it is that anybody in their left or their right brain would have just thrown this together. Oh, that guy you just shot there? Believe it or not, if you back away from him while the game is speaking things, fades. The sound fades.
Really?
Yeah, you walk away. If you walk away from him while he's still alive, it'll the sound fades as if it's the actual actor that's doing the speaking.
Oh wow. Yeah, I was pretty mesmerized there by the fact that the bodies were continuing to spray blood oddly and wigging out on the ground.
Yeah, you blew them. You blow these guys into small pieces, and they just sit there and bleed.
And I'm out of ammo now.
The other thing I found incredibly entertaining was just how disconnected everything was.
For sure.
For example, I don't know if you actually see it in this particular video, because I wasn't actually watching this chunk of video. I just know you have it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it on one of the concrete pads outside under a structure? You have a British phone box, a modern British phone box, a fire plug, would be at home anywhere in the United States, or actually pretty much anywhere in the United States or Europe, and a USPS post mailbox. It's even got the USPS logo on the side.
Yeah, he didn't take a whole lot. The developers there didn't take a whole lot of effort. I mean, you notice there that the health kit, I was looking for a health kit, and I noticed that the health kit looked more like the model for a TV set that they just put a red plus on.
Actually, believe it or not, it's not even so much a TV set. It's not really big or shaped quite well enough. You know what that model actually is?
What's that?
It's a special type of mine.
Oh, okay. There it is right there. Yep, it is. Yep, it does look like a mine.
It's actually a special type of mine that it's directional. So you can stand behind the mine, pressure plates out in front of it. You walk in front of it. There's, I forget what they're called. I saw them in the field quite a bit when I was out. But you've got the same several types of zombies, quote unquote zombies. There's the prisoner, that guy you just shot who looks like a medieval peasant. He's complete with his leather ass apron. A couple of demon sorts. That guy.
There's no real consistency between all the enemies or anything else in the game from what I saw.
Well, and you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. It hasn't changed any. It really hasn't changed any from this.
Yeah.
In fact, I think I've got the same version you do with the improved blood effects. The ones that don't have the white jaggies around.
Yeah, I mean, I played this just back in November, just 3 months ago or something like that, and I just couldn't believe that the game was as bad as all the reviews and everything said. But
They lied. It was worse.
yeah, exactly. they made it look better than I did. Like I said in my
That guy there's
review.
got a bunch of teeth in his head.
There-
Was
Another thing too that I did, you didn't really feel like you were moving when you moved throughout the level. It felt to me like you were on ice skates just sliding around. It's just really
well, on
awkward.
top of that, the targeting reticle, regardless of your weapon, the targeting reticule is absolutely useless. It's just kind of sitting there in the middle of the screen. But if you're if you've got the reticule, especially if you're using the not shot anything that is not the shotgun,
Uh-huh.
you're going to miss every damn time. Pay attention to the end of your weapon, not the reticule.
Somehow that doesn't surprise me.
Well, it I actually had only seen a few minutes of video footage and the idea and the fact that Jim had slagged it off when I went and dug it out. It was right before Halloween. I bought it. I hung on to it for a few days, and then somewhere between August and the last couple days of October and the first few days of November, I did a Twitch stream for about an hour and change.
Oh wow.
But one of here we have it. This is a review, even though we're using footage that is like a year old. This is a review. What Jim did was a first impressions video. Because we've both played it before, we know it, and we know how bad it gets from here. See, there you died, man. You're not allowed to do that, or you shouldn't. Well, maybe you are allowed to do that. I don't care. I don't think it cares either. See, there's your zombie prisoner thing eating your face.
And I was just loving the animations that they used here. And at this point, I didn't reload me with any ammo, so I was like, you know what, this is stupid. I don't care. And I mean, I'd already given up by this point.
Well, if you had pressed either 1 or 2, you would have gotten one of the other weapons apparently at random.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, really. I learned quickly when I did my first playthrough before I started that Twitch stream that if you press the magic button, you would get one of the weapons. Well, it seems to change each time you die. So you can press the 2 button every time, and you might get the pistol, you might get the shotgun.
Just at random. Okay.
It would appear more or less random. It's you got a 50-50 shot of either.
See, that's the kind of feature you would expect a game in early access or a game in testing to have. When you respawn, to hit a button to reload your ammo, while they're developing the game, not a fully released game on Steam that's been out for more than a year by the time I played it.
Yeah. Been out well more than that by the time I even heard about this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I don't usually go in for shooters. I actually, most of the time, I avoid them like the plague. Not unless they're either A, really, really cheap, or B, look really interesting. If this had popped up in my exploration queue by itself, I would have said, nope, not interested. That noise, I just wouldn't have bothered.
Yeah, it's a disgrace to gaming. It's a disgrace to Steam. In my opinion, having games like this on Steam on a storefront where we buy good games, we look for good games. Let's imagine if you walking into Walmart and looking for food and sausage and hamburger and stuff like that. And that Walmart's a food store. But by Steam having this game and games like this, available for you there, it's pretty much like walking into Walmart and looking for some hamburger, and right next to the hamburger there being, fresh dog poo or cow vomit or whatever right beside it.
Well, I think you're actually being a little generous at this point. Okay, scratch that. You're being a lot generous. You were being horrifyingly generous. I was going to go with with slug diarrhea myself, but
Maggot infested. Yeah.
This is crap. And in fact, I did a bit of digging after that, and I went through the Unity store. I found all of these assets. I found all the asset packs he used.
Oh wow!
Most of the effects he used that were present in Jim's video were taken either from Shutterstock or DeviantArt. Shutterstock, he would have had to have paid for them because they have unless he wanted to go through a lot of trouble to edit them. But asset piracy is actually rampant in both the Unreal Engine and Unity stores, which is really kind of a sad. This is just unadulterated Unity assets.
Well, and I understand that. I mean, I understand what Jim Sterling was saying when he's talking about the asset flipping and making a mess of a game.
There was the phone booth I was talking about earlier.
Oh, okay. But yeah, and I don't honestly, as a gamer, I don't care if they buy assets. I don't care if they steal assets. I don't care. All I care about for me and for a gamer that might buy the game, because honestly, even if somebody steals assets, it's not the purchaser's liability by buying the game. It's the developers. That's all on the developer. So I mean, there was a video, a game that I played recently within the last week or two that I ended up giving like a 93% to. It's one of those like asteroid shooter games. And after I reviewed it, I found out that people were saying, hey, this guy's stealing assets from another, space strategic game. And at this point, that's really on the developer. They made the developer with the stolen assets that he stole. While I see that as being wrong, in the end, I still got what was a good game, a good fun game, for $2 or $3. And so that's really on the developer. I mean, yeah, do I look down upon stealing assets or using assets?
Yeah, I tend to take a kind of a dim view of that myself. I mean, if he bought the asset packs and made something really fun and decent out of it, then I said, knock yourself out, dude. But this is inexcusable. I mean, I'm humiliated to be on the same continent with a copy of this game, let alone have one resident on my freaking hard drive. I own a copy of the game. I have it installed. I have several of their others installed. But I have no patience whatsoever for this sort of behavior. It's wrong.
It makes you want to pull your hair out. So many
ways.
Yeah.
How it and really, once Jim did his thing, Digital Homicide kind of turned into the Anita Sarkeesian of game devs here. I mean, you're picking on me. You're evil. You're wrong. You're an idiot.
Mm-hmm. When they did the reviewer.
Oh yeah, and pretty much everything since. I mean, having a look at, I actually sat through that, stunningly awkward thing that they did. And I pulled it off Jim's channel. You put it up last night, which was my first indication that any of this shit was going on. I'll be honest with you. And the viewer and both of our viewers.
Well, had you ever seen or watched the 1 and 40-minute long Skype call between?
Yeah, I was just talking. That's the one I was just talking about. I saw it on Jim's channel a while back.
Oh, okay.
I noticed that you had re-uploaded it, and I went, "What? What is this?
Why is he doing that?"
Yeah, why for is he rehashing? Oh, wait, there's new news.
Mm-hmm.
Time to go look. Time to go have a look. That was just about 24 hours ago now. And I went, oh shit. I pulled a copy of the filing and all the other crap from I think it was a Kotaku article that I pulled. I used 0 out of 40. I think you were still too generous. I'm gonna go with they owe us to even look at the game.
And when you think about, I bought this game for, it cost me 20 cents because I bought 5 of their games for 99 cents. So you think this game would be 20 cents, and I still gave it a 0 out of 40 for value. That's not good.
No, I don't think that would be good under any circumstances. Fun 0 out of 30. Yeah, you're probably still being generous, but meh.
When it makes you want to punch yourself, yeah, maybe it's less than 0.
Not punch myself. I was actually I was half ready to eat the damn shotgun. You have no idea, dude. Seriously,
That's
it
funny.
was just wrong, and unfortunately, I've seen a whole bunch of I've seen a bunch of footage of this game running around here and there and everywhere, and I'm probably one of the better players for this game. It's kind of it kind of blows.
Yeah, I can't believe you spent that much time to actually care to get good at it or to find ammo or figure out.
I didn't care to get good at it. I was running around making idiot commentary because I could.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I think that's pretty much what anybody with a sane mind would do.
Controls and bugs, 2 out of 20. Okay, that's more or less fair. The controls are actually stock. They didn't really do anything to them. It's just the UI got kind of fucked up.
And then there's so many bugs that it really detracted from that total, 20.
Well, and if you get through if you've actually managed to make it the 45 minutes to get to the end, to the timer running out on the very last map, the game crashes.
I specifically love the whole fact, though, that there really is no objective in this game. Obviously you go into a game like this and you expect to be shooting the bad guys, however horrible they look, however bad their AI is or whatever. But there really is no objective in this game, except you have to wait for the timer at the top to run down. No matter how many enemies you kill, no matter what you do, there's no objective to meet. There's no goal programmed into the game. They simply was too lazy to program any kind of an objective or quest or anything. It's simply,
well, they got the questy box up in the upper left-hand corner.
The questy box?
The questy box. And the only thing it never actually changes. It just gives you an audio visual feedback in the form of somebody's being in the form of a clip from a Mortal Kombat game, or that's what it sounds like at any rate. An audio clip and some words, or a word usually.
So as you can see there, yeah, my score's 4%. This was my review. I did it back in November, more than a year after this game launched on Steam. And, it was abysmal. It's one of my worst scores, and I've reviewed almost 200 games on Steam at this point. This was one of the worst.
Well, and I was doing the Ren reviews thing for a while, and I gave as a lowest possible score, I gave Depression Quest 1 out of 10. It was actually the first one we did.
Okay.
And honestly, I was more depressed after my Twitch stream with this game than I was after having spent almost the same amount of time on Depression Quest. It was really bad.
Right.
Let me see. Anything in the captures folder? No, I'm looking. That's not what I want either. It's not in here. What did I do with it?
So 25 Monkey Man says, so survive till the game kills itself. He's like in shock. He's like typing G's. And Lou says, lots of laugh. Worst games on Steam.
Worst. You know what? Honestly, Lou, I've been playing games now for 30 odd years. Computer games, and I've seen and would expect better out of a Commodore 64.
Yeah.
The Atari Jaguar had better games than this.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I used to type in those games out of magazines on the Commodore 64, and you'd be at X, and running away from periods on the screen or whatever.
Yeah,
literally.
I still remember those. Those were the greatest fun ever.
Those were a hell of a lot more fun than this.
But to get published in the game, because that required a lot of magazine real estate and a lot of time on the part of the people that were that were subscribing to the magazine,
Mm-hmm.
it had to be good, or you weren't getting anywhere.
Exactly. Could you imagine? Let's put it this way: as far as this low of a game, this low quality of a game, obviously back in the 1980s on the Commodore 64 or the VIC 20 or whatever, Apple.
Soup, I remember that one.
Yeah, and so if let's imagine that Compute Magazine, which was the big Commodore magazine back in the 80s, had published a game this low a quality for the for the time. It could have been enough damage to have completely made people unsubscribe from the magazine, never subscribe again, and
you could
magazine going out of business. Could you imagine?
Yeah, you could tank a magazine like that. It's freaking. It's sick and wrong and just evil. Now I see somebody like VLC Media Player at least half as much as I do. That's like my favorite thing ever.
Right.
Pretty much anything other than whatever it is that Windblows is using today.
Lou asks, ever wonder if the crap games are high school freshman programming finals projects?
Honestly, no, I don't. I don't actually. It's more like baby's first attempt at games. Like I said, I would expect better than this out of my 6-year-old. It's just and these are two adult males with like families doing this crap. He says he spent 6,000 hours plus coding. I want to know how he spent it. Because you look at it and it's just standard Unity first person template, first person shooting template, and a bunch of models just scattered everywhere.
Yeah, and one thing I want to go ahead and do here, as far as talking about the basics of coding, I mean, I've never programmed a high graphical game like this. I have done simple games, simple like worm games. We've all seen those, Pong games, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, and I did it. I've done tic-tac-toe. I did a half-ass chess game. Right,
and so one thing and you can look at on the screen right here, even the basics of coding. He has a timer up here, and he's obviously using 2 digits, maybe an H variable and an M variable for the minutes or seconds, or whatever. Minute M variable for the minutes, sorry, and an S variable for the seconds. Let's say whatever his variables are, he's using 2 of them for his total clock, and he doesn't even have it programmed to where if it adds a leading second variable is less than 10 to put a 0 before it to make it look professional.
That's it's no.
That's the basic of coding.
9. What is that? Is that the expected expected resolution ratio? Sorry, I kind of completely screwed that. All right. Hey, check this out. I'm going to steal your screen share here for a second. I have. Hang on a second. Give me a. Damn it! What the hell did you do with yourself? Fucking squirrel thing. Okay, that's tubes. All right, give me just a second here. Yeah, Raphael, you know it. Slightly scared to your next doctor.
I'll just play this video again until you find out. Until you.
Well, I'm just gonna grab something here.
Absolutely.
What did I do with it?
Another thing while you're looking that gets me is, I think I kind of understand Jim Sterling when, I see that he continues to play these games, because something like this, something this horrific, definitely raises an intrigue level. Like, can these guys do better? Surely these guys can do something better than this. And part of you despises them for putting something like this out.
I am all set on this one here. So, all right, go ahead and click on my thingy here, or on my little card here at the bottom. Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. Apparently, this was I seem to recall a game. If they sent it to me on, they sent it to me on on Steam. The individual that was talking about that 25 Monkey Man.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, he got himself in here as one of my friend critters. He's got a whole thing. I thought I remember a name a game by that name from way back then. But there's apparently a site for the group that actually makes these. And they can run around and do fun stuff. It's actually kind of an Ultima. It's all somewhere about halfway between Ultima 6 and NetHack or Rogue. So yeah, that's kind of a fun thing to have a look at.
With the whole Digital Homicide, which is really two brothers, you have Robert Romine or Romine or whatever his name is, and James Romine, two brothers in Arizona suing Jim Sterling. Now, where is Jim Sterling live? Does he live in England, or is he like up in the Northeast? Or
well, he is a British. He was originally a British subject. He went to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and switch back to your thing here. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and unpause that. He's originally a British subject. Grew up in kind of the Kent area. And he got married, came over here to the United States, and he lives currently, I think, in Alabama or Tennessee. I thought it was Alabama. I was almost sure of that. So he lives here.
wow,
okay. I think his actual address is on the filing, but I can't be sure.
25 Monkeys says he lives in Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now myself.
Yep. So the question here is, do you think, first of all, the lawsuit, and I'm not an attorney, I don't know a whole lot about this stuff, but I would think that any sane judge or reasonable judge would look at the paperwork here, would look at the fact that these two brothers are, filing this lawsuit for $10.7 million in damages without even having an attorney. That's what am I trying to say? That's like, I don't even know what that's like. It's like you can't even afford an attorney for $75,000. You have to have, you're trying to raise the money on a GoFundMe page, but you're going to sue somebody for $10.7 million yourself without any kind of attorney even helping you. And then once the judges look at this and see the fair use all over Jim Sterling's videos, I mean, this is a laughing matter. This is something they would just throw out of court, wouldn't you think?
Well, no, they're certainly entitled to their day in court, and quite frankly, I hope they get it. The thing is that a speedy trial is actually part of a process.
Mm-hmm.
So even in civil matters. So once they filed that paperwork, they were on a time limit. And actually, it wasn't they who filed it, or even Digital Homicide that filed it. Jim Romine filed it as an individual.
Really?
Okay. Really? If you look at the no, it's actually right on top.
Jim Romine, okay. Not the guy that he had the debate with, which was Robert last July.
Yeah. Okay. Let me swap to that here for a quick minute.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just pause that.
Okay.
I wonder where he got this blood image, because the blood image he had from Google he had originally replaced. This looks like I'm sure this wasn't his work. I'm sure he either bought that blood asset image or who knows.
Okay, you need to kill your screen share there, dude. Okay, here we go. So James Oliver Romine Jr., pro se litigant. He can actually represent himself. He's an idiot, but he can do this. And this kind of leads into the next thing I wanted to try to deal with here. But here's the big mistake that he made. If he had filed it as Digital Homicide LLC, they could have taken everything Digital Homicide owns, and that would be the best that Jim could get.
Why would he want that? Why would he want everything that they own? What do they own? A bunch of assets and crappy games? I mean,
Well, that's just it. If they lose,
Uh-huh.
and they probably will, I can't see this actually working. And nobody I've talked to or heard about any of the pundits any of the excuse me, YouTube pundits that I've had a look at recently, including a few that follow this kind of shit. None of them seem to think this is going to go anywhere, and I really do hope the Romine brothers get their day in court. And you know why? Because they're going to lose, and the second they lose is the second that they lose. Oh, hang on. I got to kill that here for a second. Let's see. I got to change that. Do a sign out so I can.
Lou says you should see this new dude's Bible channel. He has baby Jesus getting raped by Mary and 3 Italian dudes.
Ow!
That's and see that right there is just going to an extreme. I really don't think what Lou's talking about there is really a whole lot different than here. If you ask me, I think that James Romine, who filed this lawsuit, did this more for the publicity and to try to run Jim Sterling's name through the mud than he did in actually believing that he has a shot in hell of collecting any money.
Well, here's the thing. If they lose, and they, like I said, according to everybody that I can find, they probably will on most or all accounts. If they would have to pay their attorney's fees plus his attorney's fees plus whatever court costs, and that's not a good thing. Okay, because if they had filed as Digital Homicide LLC, Jim would just wind up with whatever assets they had, and Digital Homicide LLC would just go away. That's why you open an LLC if you're going to do so, if you're going to develop or do some other sort of business-like thing. That's why you do that,
Right?
and and you use a lawyer to actually set it up. Okay, let's just what happens to the what will happen next be a lesson to all of you that want to set up a game development studio. Get a lawyer, get an LLC, and don't be an idiot.
So let's do hypothetical here. Let's say that, because this has never really happened where any developers really filed a lawsuit against any YouTube reviewer for a bad publicity or a bad review.
Well,
let's hypothesize, and let's just say that the world is shocked, YouTube community is shocked, and this goes a little bit differently than anybody expects. And it's totally unrealistic to believe that Digital Homicide or James Romine is going to collect 10.7 million. But let's just throw it out there and say that whatever judge rules in favor of Digital Homicide for, say, $500,000 or $200,000 or something like that in damages, still that would be enough of a shockwave to blow people's minds and have.
Well, it would definitely have a chilling effect on on YouTube as a whole and fair use in general.
Exactly.
That being said, there's really kind of more to this than that. One, you have a thing about fair use. Jimmy is clearly doing a critique in the form of a let's play, or something that would be effectively not dissimilar. He's talking about the game. He's not talking about them. He's not yelling at them. He's not doing any of the rest of this shit. And it's just fair. They got all butthurt because he said bad things about their game. Well, great. That's fine. Who the fuck actually gives a shit?
Right.
They're not doing it. They're not doing anything that's considered significant. And as long as they keep their meltdown to that sort of to that level, nothing really changes.
I got a question about this, and I don't know if you know the answer, because like I said, I'm pretty much a moron to the whole law, the whole court system, stuff like that. But what if Jim Sterling, if this, you know, I try to put myself in Jim Sterling's shoes here with this lawsuit. What would I do? And I try to put myself in my situation. My financial situation is I don't have any money, you know, and still this is a laughing stock. Let's just pretend here that Jim says he doesn't, you know, he thinks this whole lawsuit is laughable, and I can totally imagine him thinking that.
He probably does think that, but
Jim's
still...
Romine, yeah, he goes to court on this particular court session, and Jim Sterling simply doesn't show up because he thinks it's such a joke. What would happen then?
If he is not represented in some way, shape, or fashion, they would win by default.
They would win by default.
They would win by default.
So the judge wouldn't just base it on the merits alone and say, hey, this is fair use. You know, he doesn't even need to be here because this is a bullshit case.
No, he does need to have somebody representing him there to make the motion.
Okay.
To have this thing dismissed as absolutely stupid.
So some person has to be there. He can't just send in a letter or anything like that. He would somebody has to be there.
No, you can't just do that thing. Jim could provide a copy of all the videos, all the material in question, the thinly veiled threats that came out of that whole situation, and the judge would probably just go, get the hell out of my courtroom. But somebody would have to ask. That's the way courts work.
Right. Lou says actually, you can do phone-in trials now.
Yes, you can. And I myself have appeared in a courtroom by phone, but it's kind of a hit or miss thing.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand at what point, you know, lawsuits become so silly that, let's just say that, you know, I don't know. Let's just say that I'm on a rampage. I don't know. Let's just say in one of my videos, for example, let's say one of my YouTube videos, which I do a lot of YouTube videos just as you do. Let's just say that I make a joke about redheads or whatever. I don't know. And some red-haired, you know, dumb broad in New Jersey decides to file a lawsuit against me for emotionally distressing her, but for, you know, making a joke about redheads, and sues me for $1 million in New Jersey. So that means I would have to travel from where I live in Idaho to New Jersey to show up in court for such a BS court case.
You could probably at that point make a case for a phone interview or appearance via telephone, as long as you have an attorney that's in the jurisdiction.
Right.
And generally that would be the way it would work. If you pled enough indigence, you might actually be able to get the state to provide a public pretender even.
Right.
And that has been known to happen. Jim is actually in Mississippi. His address does appear on the filing, which means that Mr. Romine here, young master, has found a legal way to dox Jim. Not cool in any way.
Now, with that, let me stop you right there and ask you a question, because I know that, because I've been involved with this myself on YouTube, as I'm sure you have as well. Get a copyright strike, you get somebody, you know, for a bad review. I've had this happen on several of my reviews on my channel, where, you know, an indie developer won't like my review, and they'll take that same way out and they'll file a copyright strike to get the video removed. Well, when you fight that copyright strike and basically say, hey, it was fair use, you know, you're telling YouTube, you have to supply your name, you have to supply all your address, your phone number, you know, all your details to YouTube, who it goes to that, you know, whoever's filing the copyright strike. That way they have to provide a lawsuit. They have to provide proof of lawsuit to YouTube to keep your video down. Otherwise, your video goes back up in 2 weeks. And that's exactly what happened with this game, The Slaughtering Grounds, when Jim did the review. They eventually did that, you know, after the reviewer and all that. They eventually went there a week later, 2 weeks later, and filed a copyright strike. The video went down. Jim, to get it back up in 2 weeks, had to supply all that information right there to the developer through YouTube.
Yes, he did.
Yep.
Filing legal papers just means that he had to, that was Romine. had everything that he needed to dox Jim, while keeping it legal, which is very not cool.
Right.
That's actually just absolutely ridiculous. That to my little brain anyway. Let's see.
Another question to ask you, since you seem to know quite a bit about this, because I really don't know. What happens if this really is just a prick move, just to get the publicity, just to drag Jim's name through the mud, just to say, hey, I can own your ass? What happens if a month from now, James Romine, never mind, I was just kidding, I really don't want to file a lawsuit?
Then Jim would have every right to go to his local zone there in the local courts there where he is, and file his own lawsuit or libel/slander/assault, same way as this.
Right.
And
he'd probably have a lot more of a case.
Well, he would, because this is public information. Not only that, but doxing is really kind of not looked upon highly in most of the United States. It's considered a form of harassment. Which reminds me, folks, do not, under any circumstances, do not dox people. Okay, well, we have a couple of things here that they managed to. I'm gonna zip through. I'm just gonna zip over Jim's personal information there, because, well, with the exception of his name, because and the city in which he lives, because it's actually right there.
Well, this is public information. You obviously got this online, correct?
Well, I pulled it from the Kotaku article.
Okay.
Yeah, later, RA. Thanks for dropping in.
See you, Lou.
But there he is claiming that in excess of $2 million to the plaintiff, an Arizona resident, blah, blah, blah. And it's actually pretty clear from the way he did this that he wrote it himself. I did a linguistic analysis a little while ago to determine who actually wrote this piece of shit. And my next response I had was to let everybody know that he was stupid for doing this shit himself. I have plenty of his writing samples to compare it to, mostly various. I know, Lou. I was just saying that.
Well, you've done a lot of investigating into this. I mean, you pulled up the actual court document. You've compared the writing style versus,
Well, it's not like I don't have 19 different samples just from Steam Greenlight alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
kidding.
And he's got and he has or has had in recent months 19 different games up on Steam Greenlight or actually in the store. So that's not cool. Now, here's the thing that I found was really amusing. He's not actually after Jim's YouTube channel. He mentions the YouTube channel and Twitter because Jim's got loads and loads and loads of followers that can push things around. But what he's actually after in the complaint is an article on the Jimquisition.com. And in fact, that particular Jimquisition article, let me grab it here. There it goes. I've got that here. We're gonna, and I'm just for the sake of completeness, I'm gonna switch over to that. Okay, let me grab the. There we go, like that. Clicky there. Okay, there is the magic of the. There is the magic beast. Okay, and one of the things that this one is about, we got the slaughtering grounds here, obviously. It was the Polish developer ECC Games. Now, when ECC Games first turned up, its little logo thingy was just ECC on a background. Well, they changed it after it was made public knowledge that ECC Games was actually somebody else.
Right.
To every click counts. I don't have screenshots for this and ECC Games, which is a Polish developer of mobile games, quite naturally took umbrage.
Right, as you would expect, especially with such crap. I mean, it's certainly not going to do them any good. It would be have the same name as a crappy indie developer.
Right. And in Poland, they're actually quite well known. There's the bit on Galactic Hitman. There is their Bundle Blitz News thingy, which was there to try and trying to draw clicks. Where was it? It was here somewhere. Okay, here's one of the things they bug out about right there. Up above, Jim had originally made a note that had noted that it was that he thought it had been pulled from just some random blood effects had been pulled from some deviant artist without permission, and he didn't know it was also sold on Shutterstock. He then, when this was made clear to him, he came in here, made the change, and then made a note here that he made the change. Okay, as far as journalism, this is actually completely okay. But they make a huge deal of this in the filing, which I will now switch back to. They make a huge deal of it in the filing. Of course, he said it to Twitter. There's the accusation of impersonation of ECC Games. Jim didn't make that accusation. ECC Games made that accusation and took legal steps to fix it. Hey, you guys play nice in the chat over there.
We're going to have our own lawsuits from slander and libel in your chat.
Nah, actually, believe it or not, once the event is over, the live chat doesn't carry over to the video. Is always kind of nice.
Yeah, exactly.
He made Jim. They say that he made several claims that, and Jim did make. See, negligence is plainly shown here, not knowing it was sold on Shutterstock. Yes, please do, Justice. I would really appreciate that. Also, the thing in the article there. Here we've seen it lead to potential legal troubles for the folks who rebranded and actually defamed a completely different studio. Well, yeah, that could lead to potential legal trouble, and it probably did. That's count 3, libel per se. Let's see, where was it? Oh, right. I'm looking for the big pile of whiny, because what he did was he separated each claim into a separate count. Usually it's based on separate. Usually each count is based on separate events. So he's already, they may take this and they may not. If I was a judge in this case, or the defense, I would, since it all seems to come from this, all of it seems to come from the same instance, or the same blog post, I would say, let's combine these into a single count.
Well, one thing I want to ask you, since you seem to have researched the whole court filing, and I just want to go ahead and try to pick your knowledge here. The
brain picking, cool. Brain picking is good.
Well, the damages that they're claiming, not the emotional distress or the whatever the other 5 million was, the punitive damages or whatever it was, the actual damages that they're suing for is like 2.4, 2.7 million, something like that. Where in the hell did this guy come up with such a figure? I mean, wouldn't he have to define exactly how he came up with this 2-point-something million in actual damages as he sees that Jim Sterling caused to his sales on Steam for his games, et cetera, et cetera?
Actually, he has to put that in the initial filing, and he did do that. We'll go over that in a second here.
Okay, that's what I'd
He
be
actually
curious to know.
he actually has to break down how it is that
He comes up with the figures.
he comes up with those figures. And what I find interesting is that the initial filing states that he's suing for 10 million. The numbers add up to 10.7, and there's another thing that comes out to like almost 11 and a quarter. It's just really,
It is ridiculous.
it's, and how do you get one set of numbers to what? How do you make one set of numbers agree to three different results?
Yeah,
Somebody explain that to me.
I don't even know.
I don't know either. Let's see. Here's where the distributor, which is Steam, told them that they were going to stop doing business with them altogether.
I read about that. Yeah.
And they begged and they pleaded, and they finally said, "Okay, take all your shit off green light, and we'll think about it." Okay, this sacrifice is made under extreme duress as the plaintiff was about to lose over 6,000 hours of coding and model work. In addition to products actually lost, all the plaintiff's income and suffer extreme damage in the eyes of the public to the point of being unable to do business under the plaintiff's good name. You know what, plaintiff? If you had a good name, you might be on to something.
Right.
You don't. And you pretty much haven't since you started. And here's the really whiny bit. Many of the defendant's subscribers are fanatical, young, and impressionable. This is not true, I don't think, because I think Jim's I would have to ask Jim specifically on this, but I think most of his subscribers fall between the ages of 25 and 49.
I would agree. Yeah.
That seems to be the par. I mean, okay, you get trolls, but
I have a 10-year-old son, and I guarantee he's not about to start watching Jim Sterling.
Well, I got a 6-year-old. It's right here. It's right here. Plaintiff was about to lose over 6,000 hours of coding and model work. You're 25, monkey man.
Model work, huh?
I don't see any model work because, quite frankly, they didn't even change the freaking textures.
No, it's all assets directly from the store.
Yeah, it's assets directly from the store. I don't, and like we said, like we were talking earlier during the footage, I don't actually care so much that you've got that you bought some of your assets, but at least try to get some cohesion. Try and get some cohesion. It's just bad. Yeah, try and get some cohesion, at least do something to the models. I mean, change the textures or do something. It's not really all that hard. All you have to do is open up a paint program. You can even get them for free. Change the color a little bit if you want to.
And and another thing too, and again, I don't go into the depths that obviously maybe even Jim or you have went into when I play a game, but I simply go with more of a intuition, I guess. And when I go into a game, a lot of times I'll either get a feeling in a sense real quick that this is a game that was rushed and is really only meant to try to take money or to try to, make quick money off little effort. Or a lot of times I'll get a feeling playing a game that, hey, these developers really care. Maybe there's bugs, maybe it's really crappy even, but I'll get a feeling like, hey, these developers actually care. I can see that they're really trying to do something special. And that's something that you certainly don't even feel. I don't think anybody would have felt with, this game, the Slaughtering Grounds, or I'm sure many of the games that they've made. Do you get that feeling when you play a game? I mean, do you get kind of a sense of, hey,
usually within a few minutes?
Yeah. I mean, I think almost anybody does.
Oh, lovely debate going on in the live chat. That's actually outstanding. Not on the topic, but hey, if that's what makes them happy for the moment. And yeah, 25, monkey man 25. It's complete bullshit. 6,000 hours, I don't see that happening. Let's see. Here's one that here's one of the whiny bits. They said mean things about me, and they're being meanie poo poo heads. He's being a meanie poo poo meanie head at me on Greenlight and such. Jim said, yeah, it was because Digital Homicide is more than just a bad developer. You know what? The truth is a complete defense. They're a bad developer. They suck.
Wow.
They actually had a game here just recently. I saw impressions video of a Digital Homicide game that he thought was actually okay, or at least had some potential.
I actually wanted to play one of the games that I bought in the bundle for $1 that we the dungeon one, greed, whatever it is, something about.
I'd have to look actually.
Yeah, I haven't played it yet, but it seemed like it might be decent. But actually, one game that I almost bought yesterday or the day before was the Dungeons of Cragmore, the game they just released out in January 20. Doesn't look like a great game, but it certainly looks about 50 times better than this thing here, and it looks like their best game to date, Dungeons of Cragmore.
Yeah, that's it. I'm looking at it now. I actually just grabbed it. They want $12 for it, and yeah, I don't have the money for it, but it doesn't look like it would actually go too bad. That was the I remember this one. You can go buy houses and do all sorts of other little stuff. It's kind of it's an online only thing, if I remember correctly.
I think so. Yeah.
One gamer guy in a suit actually wants a copy, which is hilarious. But Jim actually played it for a while and has some fun with it. I mean, I don't, if they're gonna start making games like that, then hey, more power to them. But this thing over here, this lawsuit is gonna kill this game. It is. It's gonna kill it. There were a few people. The one negative review it has. It's an early access review. The one negative review it has is that at its current stage, it can't be recommended. A lot of people, there were a few people that did actually like it. Again, they drop you in the middle of nowhere. They drop you into the middle of shit, and you have to do things. But yeah, that's not a huge downer. They even provided a free demo. So that's not actually a problem as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Power to them. It was actually just released back the end of January as an early access game. But any chance this game has to be successful just went out the fucking window
because of
this lawsuit, because of the developer's behavior. And it wouldn't be the first time that somebody's bad behavior has turned into a problem for them.
And they're shooting. Yeah, exactly. They're shooting.
You just start game devs. I mean, just how much despise does the gaming industry have for Anita right now? And it's all because she decided she was going to behave badly, after going to 4chan and baiting people. It's just wrong. It's sick, wrong, and disgusting.
Yeah, I agree.
You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do this kind of thing.
Well, I think the question is, I mean, if Digital Homicide or James Romine or Robert Romine ever watched this video, out of curiosity, whatever it is, the question is, and the challenge I would throw up to them, is to learn how to take criticism in indie games, especially. You're going to take criticism, especially when you both know damn well, and I'm talking to the Romine brothers who have developed these games. They both know damn well that this game sucks. They know that most of their games suck, and they know that they don't want to sit there and play them. So why would they expect anybody else to want to pay money for them and play them? So learn how to take criticism on the chin. I don't think they would do any differently if they were the game players and they spent their money or their time on this crap. They know it's garbage. So learn how to take criticism. And instead of putting all your effort into whining and crying and filing lawsuits and all this stuff that you're going to lose anyway, put that effort into making a decent game. For Christ's sake, we know that developers can put out crap and surprise us. Just like, have you ever played Starforge?
Don't I don't know. I don't think so.
Starforge is something worth checking out. Don't go buy it because it's an utter piece of crap. It was put out in September of 2014, and the developer for that game, let me check it here real quick, was called Code Hatch. After playing Starforge and rating it one of the worst games I'd ever played in my life, they came out with a survival game, and I typically like survival kind of games. So, and this is a true story. I saw that Starforge was coming out with an early access game, Reign of Kings, in December of 2015. And after playing and rating Starforge, one of the worst games I'd ever played, I had no expectations for Reign of Kings to be anything even decent. I expected it to be a laughingstock. I have a friend that makes YouTube videos a lot bigger than me. You know, he has like 30,000 subs. I bought him a copy of Reign of Kings in exchange for him agreeing to do a live stream of it. I totally expected to just be laughing my ass off at him getting pissed off and screaming at the bugs and problems and everything like that. And then I sat there and watched him play this game, from the same developers that I had watched make Starforge a year and a half before, and the game was good. The dude had a lot of fun. All his friends, he had like 5 friends buy the game and get in with him. I ended up buying it. My son bought it. So, you know, what I'm saying here is a developer can definitely, if they put their mind and heart into something, you know, I believe that Digital Homicide can probably make some, maybe not great, but definitely a lot better games than what they've been doing.
Well, they've already done this.
Exactly.
But again, their bad behavior is going to tank them.
That's a very good point.
And it's a yeah, I don't know about that. The graphics are too good for the Minecraft community there, Justice. Actually better than those of Minecraft, which is kind of saying something. But then Minecraft wasn't designed for graphics. It was designed for its game. It was designed around its gameplay
and modability
and modability and all this other shit. Actually, I don't know if it was actually designed for modability, but it sure as hell pulled it off.
Yeah, that's true. But Minecraft was made by somebody that had a heart and a passion that really wanted to make a fun game first and foremost. You know, I don't believe that when he made the game that he was looking, hey, I'm going to make a game that's going to make me a billionaire. You know, he really just put his heart into the game and made a game that he would enjoy playing. And I believe that's what happened. You know, he had some level of luck and success with the game, but still, you know, do you think he would have been where he is today if he would have acted as immature and crazy as the developers for the Slaughtering Grounds have?
Nowhere near it.
Exactly.
It wouldn't have been. It wouldn't. He'd be just as smoked as the Romine brothers at this point.
Mm-hmm. Even with a good game. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I have managed to dig out the information that you requested.
All right. Here we go.
Okay. He wants full reimbursement for 5 years of lost product value at the per game value at the time of loss. $19,000 per 12 products for a period of 5 years.
Oh my God.
1.14 million. Half reimbursement for trailing depreciating product value for 5 to 10 years of product life. Just about half of the same for an additional 5 years for $0.57 million. And that's over 10 years. Honestly, most games don't even have a life cycle that long. Most games, you know, people will grab them up front, they'll play, and after about 6 months or a year, they don't play them anymore.
Yeah, he's assuming that every one of his games is a 10-year selling game like Minecraft. How many games are as successful as Minecraft?
How many games? Well, none, actually.
Exactly.
But, you know, most games don't even continue to sell longer than 3 or 4 years because the architecture in the machines changes more often than that.
It takes a hell of a game. Yeah, I mean, even like Gary's mod probably still sells a few copies today, 10 years later, but that's a very rare exception.
Yeah, actually, even 5 years is long for this, and 5 years at full price never happens. I've got their stuff on the PS4 store that was released at $60 within the last 2 years, and they don't they're not selling for even half that now.
Exactly. I mean, so nobody wants to buy a
and
game.
these are for AAA games.
Exactly.
And yeah, and Gary's mod really doesn't even get a whole lot of play now. I mean, you have to have a World of Warcraft or a Minecraft or an EverQuest or something like that to even get anywhere near that. 5 years at full rates, 5 more years at half rates. That's just not going to work.
Right. And we can say anybody with any brains knows that anything that Digital Homicide has produced, such as the Slaughtering Grounds or their other games, they are not anywhere close to the caliber or the type of games as we're talking about World of Warcraft, Minecraft, Guild Wars 2, whatever, the games that may last and continue to sell for 4, 5, 6, 8 years down the line.
And even then, they only keep selling if they keep getting updated for new operating systems and that kind of thing.
New features, exactly.
New features, all that shit. Minecraft is continuously pushing that. Any MMO will do that on a regular basis. Most MMOs, when they launch, are only good for about 6 to 8 months. A year. As far as even having people on the servers.
Yeah, without dying. A lot of times they have to merge servers within 6 months.
6 months, or at the longest within a year. EverQuest was one of the very first, and it's down to I think 5 or 6. I think 8 servers now to fire it up to find out.
Yeah, look at a great indie game like Rust. Rust came out, launched in early access in December of 2013.
Right.
And we're talking about even this next December, that'll be 3 years. There is no way in hell Rust is going to continue to sell, 8, 10 years from now. So what the hell is James Romine thinking by wanting all this money for a 10-year period for all of his games? That's ludicrous.
Well, and some of these games were so bad they didn't even sell initially, except they're not even selling up front as long as except as curiosities. I mean, I bought a copy because it was just that bad. I wanted to see what the hell Jim was slagging off and if it was even as bad as he thought it was.
So can't the judge in this case say, well, I mean, if I'm a judge at this point when I'm reading this, I'm going to be like, okay.
Well, if by some random chance, some extreme random chance, they even get a hearing on this, the actual damages are determined by the jury, not the judge.
Right.
Unless they do a bench trial, it'll be the jury that decides what they actually get. The Scopes Monkey trial, for example, the guy was found guilty because he was in fact in violation of the law in question, and was fined $20 because, well, pretty much everybody knew he was right. And that was the jury's decision. That would be the same thing here. But a loss for Sterling of even $1 would still have the same net effect on free speech, on freedom of speech, freedom of the press, on fair use, and all that other shit.
Well, a jury, judge, whatever that looks at this, honestly, if you think about the Slaughtering Grounds, let's take the Slaughtering Grounds, for example, probably one of their highest selling games, or, they've probably sold more of the Slaughtering Ground than anything else. Why? Because it's got the most publicity. It doesn't matter bad publicity or good publicity. Think about the exact reason. I don't know about you, because we've never really talked before this conversation. It's our first conversation that we've ever done together. I've seen you on my videos, but I'm enjoying this. We're certainly going deep here in our thought process. But what I was going to say is any sane jury would think, even though it was bad publicity, you probably sold more copies, or you could have sold more copies because of the bad publicity. That's the exact reason I bought the game more than a year after it came out, was simply because of all the bad reviews and bad publicity, and for watching Jim Sterling. Had it not been for Jim Sterling, I never would have bought the game. Period.
Actually, to be honest with you, same thing here. And I said it earlier, I'd never have paid any attention to it. Let's see, what else have we got here? loss of $1,000 in advertising, 50,000 keys used to advertise the products at apparently $1 a piece. Those were current products that now these individuals will never purchase, and no marketing benefit was gained due to the losses. $51,000. That's on them, actually.
Exactly.
That's on them. They gave away 50,000 friggin' keys. That's their problem. I don't.
Why would they do that?
Well, to try and get votes for Greenlight off, I would think, because they were actually implicated in a scam like that.
Could you ever say buying positive reviews?
Trying to buy positive reviews.
Trying to buy positive reviews?
Trying to buy clicks on upvotes on Greenlight, all that kind of shit. Because that's actually what they were implicated in. And Jim did go and get some real serious digging on that. That's what the Bundle Blitz site was about. It was actually replaced with a Digital Homicide, an actual Digital Homicide homepage, which I might add has not been changed in quite a while. There's just the only thing I can find that's actually new and interesting in the last couple of months is the post that we're going to get into here next. Let's see. 4 months of lost key access, 4-month loss of key access. The end of which was not restored by Steam until the end of February in 2015. This would roughly coincide with the time that they were told that Steam was just gonna kill them altogether. They were going to wash their hands of them, and I really wish Steam had. But this is what we wound up with: 4-month loss of key access to existing products, limiting the ability to advertise current and new products during a critical market time, which of course would be the Christmas season. You don't do that, not for something like this. $500,000 is way too high anyway. I don't know that they could have even given those things away that to that tune. 500,000 units is a lot to move for any game. Let alone something this craptastic.
Well, I mean, I think you could ask 500,000 people that know anything about games, that know anything about Digital Homicide, and ask them if they would want their game for free. And I bet you couldn't give the games away for free to that many people. Period.
You probably could if you tried real hard, but you'd really have to blitz it. Let's see. Emotional and financial distress, including extreme financial strife resulting in loss of quality of life, loss of time to visit with family immediately upon libel striking. $500,000. You know what, guys? Time to visit with your family, that's on you. Loss of quality of life, that would have been a whole lot better if you hadn't behaved badly. Because that was actually directly both of those things were actually directly linked to your bad behavior. That's, they're talking about having to go all over the net in the next bullet point, having to cover their name and locations across the net. You could have spent that $3 million that they're talking about, and I don't think they've ever been worth $3 million, to be honest with you. They could have spent that $3 million making a good game. Of that. $3 million would be an outstanding budget. Hell, I'd love $3 million right now. Because I have 3 or 4 games that are just dying for assets. $3 million would cover that, and a programmer that would just be brilliant. But
for sure.
I don't have that kind of money. If I had that kind of money, I'd do it.
Yeah.
And I'd make a game that was and I'd make games that were actually good. Time lost dealing with, I don't think they're, and that's, deal with defamation locations across the net, apparently the internet. I'm guessing that's what that means, for the rest of the plaintiff's life.
Good grief.
They don't get to sue for lost wages across the balance of their lives. Because I don't know how old they are. I'm guessing they're in their 30s or 40s.
Mm-hmm.
That's a guess based on how old Robert said his kids were. I think
Well,
one
Robert
of
said
his
he was 35 last July.
last July. So that makes okay. So we're talking about 30 years worth of until 65, which is the general retirement age. You don't get 100,000. You don't make $100,000 a year. Actually, yeah, $100,000 a year. You don't.
Well, yeah, and Robert even admits that he doesn't make that much money. He told Jim, he's like, you would laugh if you knew how much money or how little money I make.
They would laugh. They would laugh. Jim would laugh if he knew how little money I make. If I want to make videos the way I used to, I'm going to have to get a whole new damn computer. Unfortunately, the funding for that isn't going to happen anytime soon.
Well, if you decided to go there, I've got videos to show you how to put it together.
Well, I've been building computers longer than.
Oh, so you know how to do that? Okay.
Oh yeah, I've been building computers for 30 years now. Anyway,
It's the only way to go, man.
well, I actually tore down and rebuilt a Commodore 64 that wasn't working.
Oh, wow.
The same with an Atari 800, and those were a pain to get into. Let me tell you.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
They were a pain to get into. My very first PC took me probably about an hour to figure out what everything was and where it all went, and I was pretty much done from there. I could do almost anything.
Yeah, because they used to be built a lot more. It was a lot more complicated than it is nowadays.
Well, yeah. Now I could look at it. Now, if I was just walking into it, I could look at where everything got plugged in, open the case, see the three things that are still plugged into the freaking motherboard, and go, okay, I could do this and this and this and this and this. And as long as I know how to reinstall Linux or Windows, I'm golden. A monkey could do this at this point. And you don't even have to have a trained monkey necessarily. You just train
going
spider.
back to the court document, I know that at some point, part of the lawsuit is stated that they were suing for, damages and distress and mental anguish and all this stuff done by all of Jim's subscribers.
We're getting to that. It's actually down near the bottom of my page.
Okay.
Bottom of this page. I'm lost dealing with this case and research involved. Almost 1,000 hours, and he didn't even bother to spell out the word one, which he really should have done this at this point.
Right.
You either spell out the word one if you're going to spell out 1,000, or you use number 1,000. Do
Exactly.
one or the other. Doing both just looks completely unprofessional.
Basic grammar.
Of the almost 1,000 hours, the plaintiff spent performing research on law to represent appropriately to the court this reduced game production output by a minimum of 5 titles, putting the plaintiff in a worse financial position. 5 titles in 1,000 hours.
Good God.
Think about that for just a moment. Okay, there's one game I've been working on right now, just kind of storyboards and scripts and planning and stuff. I don't even finish a freaking doc. I don't even finish design doc in 200 hours. Okay, he can complete a whole title in that time. What the unholy fuck?
Yeah, game development is very time consuming.
It's very time consuming. It's very painstaking. And if you do one thing wrong or skip a step, your shit's going to be crap.
Mm-hmm. Or it's going to crash.
And he thinks his time is worth $800 an hour. $800. Okay. His lawyer isn't worth $800 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
His lawyer's asking for $75,000 as a retainer. Well, that's probably because he doesn't have a case. But the lawyer is willing to take his money anyway. This suggests to me a shyster, actually, because if the lawyer actually thought he was going to win, he'd do the whole thing on contingency.
Right. He wouldn't require money up front.
He would require either no money up front or not a lot of money up front.
Exactly.
Because this is going to be something that'll be very time consuming for the lawyer. It will be, they're going to be in and out of court for years. Most lawyers that I know of, or at least everyone with a brain in his head, that has been in operation longer than a couple of years, has a nest egg in case they get a big case like that. But $75,000 is pretty extreme as far as a retainer goes. Sounds to me like the lawyer's planning on running that retainer out and then billing them further on their hourly rate. $75,000 standard legal rates at this point doesn't even count up to $1,000 or to 1,000 hours.
Yeah, I mean, if
$750 an hour is actually high end for most middling lawyers, or at least lawyers that would take this kind of a case.
I find it kind of amusing that Robert in the Skype call with Jim last summer, and I've seen other posts that thinks that he seems to think, or these guys seem to think, that the lawyer that they've contacted, they've said that they believe the lawyer they contacted think they have a good case against Jim Sterling here, a good chance of winning. Well, if that was the truth, why does the lawyer want $75,000 up front? If I was a lawyer and I thought that I could really get $10 million out of Jim, I'd be all for it, and I'd be like, you know what, we'll take it out of your winnings after we get the win. You don't need to pay me anything. You
could, nothing up front. Well, if you've actually got a solid case, they're going to ask usually for about a third of whatever the judgment is. Usually anywhere between 20 and 30%, depending on how much time they expect it to take.
Okay, so then 75,000 wouldn't be that much out of 2 or 3 million, right?
Well, out of 10 million, or actually somewhere between 10 and 11 million.
But their percentage would be 2 or 3 million, so maybe $75,000 isn't that much.
Well, it would certainly be enough.
Yeah.
$75,000 is the kind of retainer you would find a way to get for a high-end divorce lawyer. Because those things, though, one or the other party isn't going to have money after that, or is going to have very little. So when you're getting a divorce attorney, you kind of want to do that. They're going to kind of want to do that because there's not a lot of money in it afterwards. But for a civil suit like this, it's something that could have that kind of an effect when a precedent is set. Holy shit! Most lawyers I know would jump on that like white on rice.
Right.
And that's not happening here. And it's kind of a question as to what kind of a shyster they've got running around. But Robert or James here, James seems to think that his time is worth $800 an hour. And I don't understand that in any way, shape, or form. His time can't be worth $800 an hour because, quite frankly, he's not doing anything that's worth $800 an hour. I mean, if he could sell copies, if he was talking about being the lone developer, the lone person in charge of developing a AAA game or a AAA quality game, then that suffered, millions upon millions upon millions of dollars of losses to the publisher, then I could maybe see that. You get a one or a two man, a single person, or maybe even a 2-man team that puts together. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a game that would be representative. I don't know, Fallout 4. You put together a Fallout game, just you and your partner. And you do it to AAA quality. They get it. They run through it. They fix up any of the little stuff that's going on. And I really apologize to Bethesda for using their games as a
and it's kind of a video.
Here. I realize it's very insulting to Bethesda, and I'm deeply sorry. But you're the first people I could think of that make really good games. So it's a kind of a backhanded compliment for them. I like their games. I like them a lot. I have a nearly complete collection of their games, in fact.
Oh, they're definitely one of the better AAA developers.
All right. See you, Lou. Thanks for stopping by.
See you, Lou.
As it is, this is going a little longer than I really expected, but it's actually been a really fun conversation.
So let's, at this point, from the feelings that I get with these developers, and I hate to say it, and maybe they're going to file a lawsuit on me and you for even, thinking this. Certainly, just a thought that's crossed my mind, though. Just assuming that the fundraiser, which is totally ridiculous, if they're really professional and they really believe in this and they really, want to make this court case known, it just makes their whole lawsuit a joke that they're actually trying to raise the money on GoFundMe.com. It makes it laughable at best.
Yeah, but on a good day, that would be laughable.
Exactly. So here's the thing that kind of crossed my mind. It's like, what if? Again, I'm one of these what if guys. What if a whole stream of Jim Sterling haters, whatever, funded these guys and gave them, let's say, $50,000, $60,000, whatever.
Well, they don't see it until they get 75. So
yeah, if they don't get 75,000, is it just me? Let's just say that, for example, they got $60,000. It'll never happen, but let's just say they got $60,000 on the fundraiser for their lawsuit. Is it just me, or do you think anybody else out there might think these are the kind of guys that would take that $60,000 in their fundraiser account and not pay a lawyer and just either call it quits, pull the retract the lawsuit and keep the $60,000, or say, hey, and say, oh, we didn't get enough money to pay for our attorney, so we just decided to make the next game or whatever, and just take the fundraiser. That's exactly the kind of guys that I see with looking at their work and looking at their games.
Well, yeah, their history suggests that this is a distinct possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, here's more of the whiny thing. It damages the amount of $5 million to discourage the defendant and all others that followed suit with the defendant's actions from performing similar actions in the future. A minimum of 20 other former victims, such as the plaintiff, have been singled out and destroyed for profit in a manner which replaces their copyright created material with a video from the defendant using the target's content.
Oh my gosh.
See, this is actually a two-part thing. One, they want to sue everybody who's ever made a video that's critical of them, which is not cool. Welcome back, 25 Monkey Man. You missed Lou wandering off. He's going to go crash, and frankly, I don't blame him at this point. But yeah, you're talking about $5 million to discourage people from doing this. Well, the fact of a judgment itself would be enough to discourage quite a few people.
Exactly.
I would certainly get all pissy about.
And why would all that money go to them anyway?
Well, they're talking about suing. Well, we'll get into the rest of that here, but it also means that they get to claim copyright infringement on anybody that uses footage that they take and comment on from their games. And just
that's scary.
Yeah, that's actually what they're trying to do, and that's what the copyright strike was attempting to pull. That's the same thing that Sega and Sony and several other places, especially Konami. Oh my God, Konami's really horrible about that because, of course, fuck Konami. That's a thing that they try and do on a fairly regular basis, and it doesn't work for them either. I'm reminded of the Kitzmiller versus Dover trial. Their lawyers came through and said, you know what? Don't do this. Don't make this book don't make this book of Pandas and People part of the curriculum. You're going to get sued and you're going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Whereupon they did it anyway. And the district's insurance refused to pay the legal fees or the plaintiffs or their own legal fees for that matter, because they had ignored counsel. They ignored their stock counsel's advice and went with another group. But they're talking about 20 other former victims such as themselves, that have been singled out and destroyed for a profit in a manner which replaces their copyright created material with a video from the defendant while using the target's content. Well, guess what? There's this little thing. It's called fair use.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's like the video clip that we displayed at the front end of this. We are certainly allowed to do that to a certain extent. We didn't use any of the audio from it. Is why I wanted your quiet version as opposed to the one with my commentary over it, and all the ridiculous noises I've reacted to as well.
Right.
Just all, and all, and it's a matter of transformative work. We're adding things to the work to put it in a new light, and of course we also have critique, because we were kind of snarky at it. Jim was very snarky at it, very extremely snarky at it. He was even more snarky at it in a pair of live streams, each of which ran about an hour and a half,
Right.
where he actually sat and played it. He found one of the 3 bosses that were in there. I have actually seen all 3 bosses. I've actually laid eyes on all 3 bosses. And I think one of them is broken completely. It doesn't even animate.
Oh my.
One of them is the one on the first stage is actually in good shape. It does work and it does do things, but trying to destroy it is absolutely freaking impossible. You just have to play avoid. You just have to play avoid the boss, while gunning down as many zombies and picking up as much ammo as you can.
Well, that's a lot of fun.
The ammo carries over from map to map. The one for for map 2, he's broken. He's just out there in the default position, in the standard T pose, and he just kind of sits there regardless of what you do to him. And the third one's actually behind an invisible wall made out of nothing, that shows a shotgun pattern when you shoot it, regardless of what you shot it with.
Yeah, gamers love invisible walls.
Oh no, they don't. Ooh. I've never met it. I don't know what gamers you hang out with, but
I'm being sarcastic, man.
I hope so. Oh hell no. But part of what they're going to do, it says apologies in place of every offending article and video for a period of no less than 5 years. An apology video in the primary YouTube location on the defendant's channel front for a period of no less than 5 years. Answer: no. Even if they were to ask for that, even if they were to win, I don't think they can even ask for that. Ask for a public apology for what the hell ever. Yes, they can do that, but I don't think they can be that specific about it. Don't quote me on that. If we have a lawyer running around that actually watches this some century, because there's like 4 people watching this video right now, then maybe they can correct me on that, or anything else that I've had to say. Please do. I would appreciate that critique. That would be brilliant, because I can then go back and put up a note, or make it, or Zach's back at it his hole and we can sit down and have a chat about and we'll even bring you in so you can tell us what we got wrong.
Exactly. Yeah.
Please do this. If you think, honestly, if you guys think I suck, do say so. Because, basic engineering, yay, Monkey Man.
Well, I mean, what they're asking for there for Jim to make a public apology on his own YouTube channel is something you can't demand. I mean, that's as ridiculous as saying, yes, in this court document, he wants that Jim and his wife to both wear Digital Homicide Rock the World T-shirts for every day for the rest of their life. I mean, it's that ridiculous. It's something you can't. I wouldn't think you could require that in a lawsuit like this. So you can tell this whole lawsuit is unprofessional. Something like you said he wrote up himself, because it's just.
Well, he doesn't even have very good grammar, honestly. If I was going to grade this, 19 pages of just effluence, just a whole bunch of typing diarrhea here. If I was gonna, if somebody turned that paper in, that is in as a paper, I would have, or at a law school, they'd be laughed out.
So why couldn't a judge look at this and see the novice level, the unprofessional level that this whole thing has? Why couldn't a judge just look at this and say, you know what, this is thrown out until you can provide me with a legitimate, realistic lawsuit that makes sense?
Well, and hey there, Steady Stomps, what's up? We're just kind of hanging here, having a go at Digital Homicide and their lawsuit. You probably already knew that from the title of the video or the title of the stream here. But yeah, this guy can't even do proper cursive. I mean, that's just illegible. I don't even know what this is supposed to be right here. Right here, what is that? I don't even know. That is not an E there at the end. That might be an N, but is that supposed to be an O, or is it just some sort of a flourish that he likes to use? I don't get it. Although we know he made another. He's let's go to the next clean area since we've covered a good chunk of this. Yeah, he's trying to hold Jim accountable for the actions of his audience, and you can't do that. That's just second wrong. Well, it's not even second wrong; it's just flat wrong. Let's go over to the site here real quick, and I'll just kind of switch around here. That is, what is that? Oh, that's the article from the Jimquisition. That's the loss. That's the GoFundMe. Let's do the GoFundMe real quick, since this is going to be real fast. We don't actually need a lot of this. Let's see here. Share. And make the clicky there. Okay. So we have the online defamation lawsuit. This thing's been up now, 5 days. We're actually into day 5 since this has actually been up. I should here real quick. And yeah, you can see the webcom. You can see that I read a couple of web comics obsessively. It does happen. Let's see. It's 8 people have paid attention to this in the last few days. And he's got a grant total of $200. He's a long way from that 75,000.
Oh yeah.
And his last update was again 4 days ago. He must have put it right up. He wanted all that. He actually asks that people make all donations anonymously, probably so that nobody goes after people that are donating. One of them actually listed themselves for $5 earlier today, and I didn't get a screenshot, and I really should have. I'm kicking myself for it now.
Or he could be asking that people do their donations anonymous so that he doesn't have to face the embarrassment knowing that it's his.
Well, no, their information, their names are actually are actually available to him. They're just not available to the public at large. Well, at least if GoFundMe works the way I think it does. I know that's the case on Indiegogo and Kickstarter. I've supported a couple projects there. I kicked in $1 for the Mub Love series because that's one I actually like, and I really want to get my hands on an official English translation.
Well, I'll go out and say this. This is Zaxtor99, by the way. I mean, I'll go out and say this right now. I'll offer the James Romine or both the brothers. I'll offer $1,000 out of my pocket if they'll just drop this case and never put out another game on Steam, and just drop this completely before they get further embarrassed and humiliated.
Yeah, guys, really, just we could even put together a GoFundMe for that, because I'm pretty sure people would go for it.
There you go. Do a GoFundMe for giving these greedy bastards money to never put out another game on Steam and to leave Jim Sterling alone.
Even if it was just for them to go away, and move on. Even if they started making games for Steam again, just move the fuck on. Okay, I'm pretty sure that we could actually get some. We could actually get that. I know Mundane Matt said, you know what, drop this shit and move on.
Exactly.
And
I'll bet
I'm
you they get a
inclined
hell of a lot more money than what they're going to get to file a lawsuit against Jim.
Yeah, they're not. I don't see them getting a dime, honestly. But one of these guys here, this one right here, earlier, 'cause this was the last. This was, I think, the last donation that got made. Let me see if we can. Yeah, there was one of these that was for $5.
I'm not
marked.
seeing your updated pictures on your YouTube, buddy. I'm one of the people watching your stream, and I'm still seeing a picture of the document, the legal document.
That's not a good thing. Because that's not what I'm seeing. It's screen sharing and presenting to everyone. Hold on a second. Let me.
Okay, I'm watching the live stream. Let me pause it and. Yeah.
All right. Let me reshare.
Okay.
Let me start the screen share again. Okay. And there we go. Is that better?
It may take a minute to get here.
To present to everyone. I know I've got enough bandwidth for this.
Oh, somebody else says they see the GoFundMe, so it just must be my mind.
It might be your. Just click on my thingy here so that you can see it.
Okay.
But yeah, it was this one right here. This particular one right here. Good. That's what we should be seeing. It was this one here for $5 that was originally marked Jim fucking Sterling's son. It's why it's got four. It's got 4 likes. And that was yesterday. They had like $920 at the time. But they complain about the Kotaku article. They complain about the Kotaku article here, and that's actually where I got the copy of. That's where I got the copy of the
court order.
Court order. I think it was Kotaku. Usually don't go there, but in this case, it was. There was a link there, and I wanted that information rather than having to search the Giggle machine for it. So that was really pretty much a click of convenience. It's the first click I've given them in more than a year. Many of them are mixing up criticisms with false statements, blah blah blah. The rest of this is more or less a rehash of what they're going to make of the claims they make in the next screen that I'm going to show you. So that's going to be kind of obnoxious. Don't try not to shoot the witnesses. But here's the thing. They received a pile of shit in the mail. Well, that's kind of a dick move. Don't do that. That's rude. I think probably somebody sent that to them by way of that service that sends horse shit to people. And I would not be surprised. And somebody contacted Jehovah's Witnesses website to have them pay us a visit. Well, okay.
Well, I think we need some clarification on that. Were they? Because I don't think they really clarified, was it an actual piece of shit that they received at their door?
Well, that's what they seem to be suggesting.
Or maybe it could have just been a copy of their own game sent back to them.
Well, I would, much as I think the latter is funnier, I don't think that's what they meant.
No.
I'm almost certain that's not what they meant. Nobody on this end thought it was funny when attributed to the damage and harassment being performed. This actually doesn't make any grammatical sense that I can determine. When it was attributed, maybe that could have been what he meant to say. I don't know. He's missing at least a couple of words in here. It's just really it's pretty much stock in trade for James Romine's grammar usage, etc.
Exactly.
It speaks of somebody that's actually pretty undereducated.
When would Jim Sterling, this is a lawsuit against Jim Sterling, when would he take responsibility for all of his fans? And this is just who would assumed would be his subscribers.
And that's assuming it is. It could just be some sort of third-party troll that thought he was being funny.
Exactly.
But they don't actually attack his YouTube channel or his Twitter channel. They attack his blog because they seem to think that that's actually more vulnerable somehow. But if they actually directly attacked his channel, because he's part of that small number of people that's being covered, that's being covered by Yahoo and their not Yahoo,
YouTube
Google. And their lawyers,
a
bunch of Yahoos is what they are. Oh, covered by those people. It would be an uphill battle to even get a lawyer in that case. He'd have to turn up in the district court on his own, and then he'd get ripped a new ass. Because I'm pretty sure he's not a lawyer and is not equipped to provide all the case law for this. What is that? Oh, right on. Okay, I got something here. Somebody just sent this to me. Oh man, and they still wonder why we call them feminazis. That's just wrong, dude. It's hilarious, but it's not quite right. Okay. Anyway, a lot of the individuals following the target of our case are competitors and upcoming competitors in our marketplace. Oh, okay. Can you prove that? Citation needed. These people harass not only ourselves and other customers, but dozens of others attempting to make their way through thousands of hours of hard work. Okay, you make several claims here. The first, of course, being that you put in thousands of hours of hard work. Citation needed. That these people are your competitors or upcoming in your marketplace. Citation needed. Harass not only you guys, other customers, and dozens of others attempting to make their way through. Well, guess what? I'm going to say the same damn thing. Citation needed. You just don't have any evidence, and you provide none. You're jumping to conclusions that don't follow from the evidence, and really, that's not even evidence as far as I'm concerned. Often alternate accounts are used anonymously to do the damages. To do the damage first, drop the S on that. Grammar, professionalism, please. Don't be Stephanie Meyer. Actually, you've already gone past that. Screw that. Okay, this is the first case they speak. More are expected to be filed soon. Well, that means that you're expecting this to
be successful.
You're expecting to win this thing. So, I'm sorry, Zax. My headset's being kind of swirly for a moment. You're not only expecting to win this, but you're expecting to use the proceeds, all 10 point whatever the fuck million, 10 or $11 million you think you're going to get out of it, to pay the expenses for the lawyer to file the rest of the suits. What the hell? We don't even know how you define harassment at this point. The pile of feces, yeah, that was rude. I could see that. Contacting the Jehovah's Witnesses, yeah, it's entirely possible that the Jehovah's Witness that was one of your damn neighbors that did this just to be an ass.
Again, at least
or somebody that thought you needed God.
Again, I'm just going to go back to the feces again, and I'm going to say at least they weren't charged $9.99 for their feces that they received.
Yeah, I know, right? What's up with that?
But so you would agree that, first of all, you mentioned something about if this court or if this court case goes through, that it could take years. You said something like that.
Well, a lot of civil suits do.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the way, that's just kind of the nature of the beast. But you have to be able to start prosecution. You start working towards your first court date in fairly short order.
Mm-hmm.
Be able to get depositions from the defendant. You have to be able to you have to be able to deal with all of that crap, gather all of your evidence, and do all this other stuff in a fairly short period of time. And if you're not gonna be able to do that, the court's just gonna say, well, you're taking too fucking long. Get the hell out. I mean,
So I guess what I want to ask you is kind of what probably everybody that is watching now and what everybody who watches this video is going to want to know after listening to you, because you sound like you're pretty knowledgeable with the research that you've done on this. What I want to ask you is, when do I and everybody else out there get to watch the new YouTube video? When would you expect to be able to see Jim Sterling laughing his freaking ass off hysterically in a new video, laughing at this court case and their complete and utter failure at suing him?
well, if Jim's lawyer, not right away, if Jim's lawyer is even remotely competent, he's going to tell Jim to shut the fuck up. Don't talk about it. Acknowledge people that say that are sending support, wave high and say, no, I'm good to go. but offer no comment.
And that's what he's been doing so far.
And that's what he's done so far.
Yep.
He's acting smart. He's not making it worse.
Exactly.
Which whether we agree with his politics or not, or anything else for that matter, whether we think he's a shit reviewer or not, we have to give him credit for having the brain to actually not comment. He could change that. He might actually go about doing more of that. He could go in and rip the Romines a new asshole. But he's actually doing the smart thing right now and not saying anything.
But even the Jim Sterling haters, then the court case completely fails, and the Digital Homicide brothers look like complete asses. I mean, even more than they already do, because this court case ultimately fails and blows up in their face. That even the Jim Sterling haters are still going to be tuning in and watching that video when Jim Sterling laughs his freaking ass off in a video at these guys in this whole court case and this whole
I plan to
joke.
Okay, I actually plan to do a video commenting about that when it happens. See, here's Jim's channel page.
Yeah.
And he's actually picked up quite a few subscribers with this. He was I think 305 a few days ago. Now he's got 325,000.
He's picking up a lot of subscribers because of this.
He's the size of Thunderfoot. Everybody wants to know why Digital Homicide is being like that.
So it's already blowing up in Digital Homicide's face, because while they're trying to hurt Jim, they're actually
helping him.
They're helping him big time.
Good publicity, bad publicity. Any publicity is good publicity, is what a lot of people seem to think. Unfortunately, if you're doing that with somebody else on the far end of it, that other person is going to draw just as much or more attention. Especially if the other person has footage that says that your games are shit, or that you're behaving badly, etc. Right. Back to this for a second. Yeah, somebody actually suggested they were going to return the game in the comments on that. So we've got here's the lawsuits information. Lawsuits plural, I might add, which is still not which is very inaccurate. There's only one lawsuit at the moment. Even if they plan to put up more, they should probably not make those claims. And Robert wrote this. It's actually a little bit better written. I have seen countless posts stating this lawsuit is in relation to opinion and criticism, when in fact it has nothing to do with it. I call bullshit. A little red flag can wave really hard now. Yes, it can, because your original problem with him was over his opinion of the game as a first impression. He wasn't doing a review. He wasn't doing a review, because if he was doing a review, he would have played it first. He doesn't do reviews that way. He does his reviews on the jimquisition.com, because that's what that site is for. He does his impressions on the YouTube channel because his impressions and his reactions to the impressions are actually funny. Okay.
Yep.
This is not about someone not liking our games. Yes, it is, because that's been your behavior all the way around. This is in relation to someone printing defamatory and false information to you, the public, and convincing you something is true when it is not, and causing massive damage to us in the wake. That's not even that doesn't even really parse particularly. And it's all one big run-on sentence. 2 lines in one big run-on. It's just really, I kind of, whoever it was that educated them needs to be ashamed of themselves, I think. This is not about you as a normal individual hopping onto the internet and posting an opinion that may upset someone. Again, I'm inclined to disagree.
Right.
The law doesn't actually draw a distinction between, me having an opinion about your game that's good and me having an opinion about your game that's bad. If I have an opinion about your game that's bad, you have nothing to say about it. I am free to speak as I will, and you don't have the right to stop me.
It is about freedom of speech. I mean, can you think about what we're talking about here? Is imagine I go to Walmart and I buy a freaking, I don't know, I buy an Emerson TV or an Emerson TV for $350. And I get it home and it's an utter piece of shit and doesn't work. And I show video of this Emerson TV not working. And I trash it, and I trash Emerson and call them a bunch of shitheads and swear I'll never buy, their crap again, laugh at them, whatever.
That is your opinion.
Exactly. That's my freedom of speech, and I can tell 2 people in my family, I can tell 2 friends, I can tell nobody, or I can put it on my YouTube channel and tell
the entire freaking internet. Just like we're doing here.
Exactly.
Like we did at the top of the broadcast. With that footage of the slaughtering grounds. This is about holding media figures and news outlets to a sense of duty. No, it's actually not. A sense of duty is subjective to the individual. Okay, but
when is Jim Sterling a media outlet? He's not a media outlet.
He's a media figure. He does qualify that way
for his Jimquisition website.
Yeah, no, actually for his entire media group, Twitter and YouTube and the Jimquisition.com. He's been a media figure since the Jimquisition started way back on Destructoid many moons ago.
Okay.
He's been around a long time.
but this particular video and review that spurred this whole thing is not media. I wouldn't say.
Well, it is by the strict definition. I mean, it is in terms of, reporting and press, but it's not, because it's an opinion piece, and it is obviously an opinion piece. It's a first reactions video, and it is stated there too. That was what his Squirty Play series was about. He changed the name here recently to Jimpressions. And that actually makes it a bit more clear.
True.
What that was actually supposed to be, because all of the old Squirty Play videos are still on there, and he does these, 3 or 4 days a week. It's not like anybody should be shocked that these are his impressions. He states this at the top of most of those videos. I haven't played this before, or I'll be honest, I played a little bit of this before I started recording, or I screwed up the first recording and we're going to do it again. Blah, blah, blah. This is a thing for him as part of his formula, and that's okay.
And it's why he's successful. I mean,
and that's why he's successful. What do you, Kiernoff, I'm not sure what you mean by who's who. Digital Homicide are the folks that made the Slaughtering Grounds on Steam and several others that Jim has been slagging, that Jim slagged off. About a year and some months ago, and they turned into a bunch of asses about it.
He's probably asking. He might be asking who's who as far as you and me as well.
I am Kage, also heretofore who will also be known now as the annoying atheist. Oh, my description doesn't say. Okay, you know what? I'm going to fix that here in a bit, Kieran. My partner in crime today is Zaxtor99, and for gaming content, I'll probably Shanghai him into helping me with those. Because having a conversation is about these things is certainly a lot better than just sitting here rambling for 3 hours. Instead of just sitting here rambling by myself for 3 hours, and it's your fault way I even know about this. So I will.
I did a video and uploaded the video of their debate last summer on my channel, and then talked about it. I believe this morning I uploaded the video, was it not?
Yeah, you did. I didn't actually see that one. You did. I didn't see that until just before the stream started.
Okay.
But I had no idea that Jim had even been sued, or there was anything going on with that little saga. Until I saw your thing going, and I read the description. I said, I've seen that. Why is Zaxtor uploading it now? And I read your description, went, oh, got it. Okay, yeah, cool. Let's go have a look. And it took me less than 10 minutes to find the actual lawsuit, and go check that out, as it was actually freaking hilarious.
I'd like to know what you think about, because obviously when you saw the videos that I was doing, like when you saw my re-upload of the Skype conversation that they had last summer, and then when you wonder that, how many people, gamers and YouTubers, what percentage of gamers and YouTubers do you think even have a care in the world about this case, of about what's going on here?
Well, honestly, anybody that follows Sterling at this point, they all knew about it before I did.
Mm-hmm.
I follow Sterling kinda. I don't pay attention to him. I watch his squirty plays and his best Steam Greenlight trailers, videos, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't and occasionally every couple of weeks I'll go through and watch all the remaining Jimquisition episodes, all the Jimquisition episodes I haven't seen, but I'm not one of the rabid followers. If I miss a Jimquisition, I'm not going to try and shoot myself over it. In fact, I just realized that yesterday was Monday and I didn't even look. I didn't even look to see. I don't know how much you follow Jim.
I follow him a little bit. I'm not subscribed to him, but I've definitely watched a lot of his content. I do think he's pretty comical at times, and I find him pretty. I can see where he might rub some people wrong. I'm sure that a lot of people think that he doesn't give games a fair enough chance, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, obviously, Digital Homicide didn't.
Exactly. But then again, one other question I want to ask is, of the people, of the gamers, of the Jim Sterling subscribers, of YouTubers that do take an interest in this particular case, do you think it's really because it's a big, dramatic, oh my gosh kind of case? Or do you think it's more for the same reason that people loved America's Funniest Videos, or people love the fail videos that were so popular on YouTube years ago? An utter catastrophe, basically somebody shitting all over their self, with the worst possible time. The mockery, the ability to laugh at somebody's utter failure. I think that's probably more why people are taking an interest in this whole thing.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I think just about everybody that's involved themselves at this point is it would be kind of a mix of both. Mm-hmm. On one hand, I know a lot of content creators are watching this on the off chance that it does actually wind up in a court of law, and if it does, and I myself would really like to see that, because that would be a precedent either for or against fair use, freedom of speech, and that kind of thing. And I want to see what a court of law actually says. If it does get a trial and doesn't just get dismissed because it's bullshit, then that's something that I want to see. Okay. If it gets appealed, it goes to the Supreme Court, all of that kind of thing, then we're going to actually get some decent case law out of it. And that would be absolutely brilliant.
I don't expect that. I don't think many people do.
I don't think the Romaines could pull it off, honestly. Right. But and actually, it's something like that that the Supreme Court would probably take through the state courts to the state Supreme Court, and then it has to go to federal jurisdiction. Really, it should have been filed in a federal court. To be honest, because you're talking about an interstate commerce problem that is associated with a constitutional issue, freedom of speech, and laws on fair use, and that kind of thing. So really, they could have filed this in a federal court and probably gotten a little more traction out of it. It would have been a pain in the ass, but I think I think that probably would have been better. Thanks for stopping and hanging with us this long. There, 25 Monkey Man.
25.
You could. I'm not going to bother. I'm not going to delete this when we're done here. So this is going to be up in perpetuity or until Digital Homicide decides to try and do a copyright strike, which I half expect them to do. Because now we're showing parts of their website. We put up a chunk of we went over their GoFundMe page. We chewed through a few other things. Showed about 20 minutes worth of footage of their shit. So yeah, I expect that we're probably going to get if the Romaines are actually serious about issuing lawsuits, they'll probably try and copyright strike it eventually. Whereupon I'll make another video to say, "Hey, pal," and I'll drag Zax and maybe a couple of other people in to kind of remark on that too. Oh dear, that's not a good thing. Another terrorist attack in Brussels, apparently, half an hour ago.
Ouch.
You know what? We're gonna finish what we're doing here, and then maybe we can while I dig up some news stories on it in another window, and then maybe we'll comment on that.
That sounds like a good idea. Yeah, I mean that's where people's concerns should really be, rather than this joke of a case, which I fully expect to be thrown out. I honestly, Kage, I fully expect. I mean, I can almost hear Jim Sterling laughing his ass off. I can almost hear that coming already. I don't know when it'll be, but I can almost.
Well, I figure it's going to be at least 6 months before we see it.
It probably will.
Once they get it into a courtroom, it's
6 nights at Susie's.
6 nights at Susie's, case dismissed. Yeah, I'm surprised. You know what? Honestly, it's on the subject of 6 nights at Susie's because I saw their trailer stuff in there. I'm surprised the feminists have not been all over that shit. I'm really shocked that they haven't been that they haven't been persecuted by Anita Sarkeesian and company. And really, I think that's probably something that you should do. That kind of behavior in my brain is really not acceptable against anybody. Never mind, the whole, beat the whore because she thinks she's got money that she isn't giving you. And I know I'm going to catch hell for that word choice. I know I'm going to catch it. And any of you ladies that would possibly be offended by it, that was not great word choice. Offer apology because it's an accurate description, but my word choice was kind of poor. It's out there now. I'm stuck with it. Make of that what you will. 6 nights at Susie's. Yeah, I don't personally find that acceptable. That they tried to get it on Steam. I don't think it ever made it to Steam, did it? No, it didn't. It didn't make it to Steam because it's not on their list. Let's see. Let me grab my Steam thing here. All right. Let's see. No, that's not what I want. I want community greenlight. Nights, and we're going to see if it's there. Oh yeah, there it is.
Oh my!
6 nights at Susie's pimping strategy game. It's on greenlight right now.
Oh my. Oh,
So that's not a good thing.
Steam has no quality control. I mean, if it's greenlit, it'll pass.
Let's see. Digital Homicide currently has 9 18 games on Steam, like on Greenlight, including Six Nights at Susie's.
Oh my.
And I don't see why they would do that, because a lot of these were they took a lot of these down. Those were the sacrifices they were talking that were mentioned in the lawsuit, was the stuff that was on Greenlight. Wyatt Dirt 2 Peacekeeper was something that Jim said was Space Invaders. With Space Invaders with bad Western animation. The original Wyatt Derp is on Greenlight right next to it, which I find hilarious. Withering Kingdom Arcane Wars. Don't know anything about that one. But we might want to dig into that here in a minute. Let me switch. Oh no, I'm gonna. Okay, I'm getting distracted. The ADHD is now biting me in the ass. Let me go back to what I was doing here. Okay. Always a request from my brother James for support for the lawsuit he has filed. Use for support in the lawsuit he was filed. That would make more sense. It would flow better. Generally, you don't want to use the same word twice in a sentence if you can avoid it. Right? Or ideally you don't do that at all. Twice in a paragraph kind of says that you lack a thesaurus. Lawsuit funding donation request. There's the link to the GoFundMe campaign there. It says, hello all. I'm unfortunately here asking for help as I've taken massive losses for false statements said about me. Well, I'm not inclined to think that that's actually true. Your brother, business partner, small game development company, small game development. Okay, that's a true thing. You could have come up with a better adjective than very large. And your emotional and punitive damage requests are not actually damages, as far as products alone. Here's the claim that he has a lawyer ready to take the case. He has been falsely accused of stealing artwork, which I'm pretty sure he's actually done. Or he's bought it cheap from Shutterstock, which is almost as bad. Stealing assets, flipping projects with no work put in, which is, I don't think he's never actually been accused of flipping projects, just assets. As far as I know, doxing. He made an attempt to dox Jim in that Skype call.
He did. Yep.
He failed to do so because he had the wrong information. Had products misrepresented with the intention to do damage. Okay, it's not the intention to do damage; it's the intent to do damage or intent to do harm. And even so, your products weren't really misrepresented, my friend. Well, my not friend. But you have to be able to prove damages. You have to be able to prove there was malice of intent, and I don't see that happening here. Of illegally using other company's name. Well, the other company seems to think you did that, so I'm gonna go with that. Conducting illegal business activities. Well, you were handing out keys to try and get upvotes for your green lights. I'm gonna say yeah, maybe. Impersonating someone. I don't know who you would have impersonated aside from the Polish mobile developers, and that actually goes up with the other one. So that's not even a separate charge. Being incompetent and unable to perform my job. Well, given the evidence present in your games, I'd have to say we're going to go with that. I don't see where that's even a false accusation. Unable to perform my job. This is your job. I don't know if you have any study or if you're like self-taught or what the hell ever, but but somehow or another you're doing it wrong. Been impersonated, and my name has been dragged through the mud not only by the individual being sued, but by some of the over 300,000 of his subscribers who continue to come to my game forum pages and other locations and say such things such as this. Well, okay, there's a bunch of stuff here, and that's shit that I would, and most of this is just your usual bullshit that I would expect from your average, internet asshole, freaking amateurs. They could at least be creative in their insults. But you can't prove that those are his subscribers.
Yeah, that's exactly a good point. And I do just want to go ahead and say that I think that they've left one thing out of there that they could have sued for. They could have sued for a lifetime supply for the rest of their life of Viagra so that they can get it up because Jim has destroyed their e-peen.
Oh, yes. Damn. Yeah, this bit right here is why I've been referring to them in this hangout or in the stream as the Anita Sarkeesian of the internet, or of the Anita Sarkeesian of game developers. That list. Okay, I get comments like that all the freaking time. All the time. I have an inbox that has stuff like this in it. Usually I just dump them in the bin.
You move on. You take it on the chin, you move on.
You go, yeah, okay, you guys are assholes. I'm moving on. You're not even good assholes. You're shady. Well, yeah, I can get behind that. You're a scammer. Well, okay, that would go with the thing that you were alleged to have done, trading keys for games for boats on green light. Your wife is a whore. Well, I wouldn't drag his wife into that. That's kind of rude. You're a thief. Well, okay, you're paying for a thing. Then the thing isn't any good, but ultimately he's not really a thief because you still got the thing. You're a fraud. Well, okay, yeah, I get that part. Well, the you're a thief thing might actually be about the artwork and the assets that they reportedly stole. I don't know that. I think Jim suggested that there was a possibility that this happened. I don't think he said he plainly said this happened.
It could be the fact that Jim paid $10 for a game that you and I paid 20 cents for as well.
Yeah, well, that's a place to start. But then the game's always worth the most right after release because they're trying to make their money back.
Because it's all new.
But at this point, I actually went and looked through and got some numbers on the packs that they use. They put out probably about $200 total, and at $10 or $12 a pop, they don't have to sell very many units to make their money back, and then probably then some.
So wait, you with your research you did on the assets that they bought. Now, is this just on the slaughtering grounds, or is this on all the games?
Well, this is actually the average between the games tends to be about $250, but the slaughtering grounds specific on assets pulled directly from the Unity store. I found I don't actually have Unity installed anymore. I took it away. But right about the time I found out about this shit, I had actually had Unity installed, and I went and I looked to see if Jim's numbers, if the numbers I got from someplace surrounding this thing were anywhere near accurate. It's $100 to get your company into green light for the first game. Then you're just kind of there for every project thereafter, and then that $100 is donated to their charity. I think it's Child's Play or something. I don't know which one. I'd have to actually go back and look.
But the $100 fee is only a one-time per lifetime fee, is it not?
Yeah, one time. It's one time it's a once over. It's a once on for the lifetime of the account. However long that happens to be.
What does Steam get? What does Steam's cut? 40%, 30%? I've heard different numbers.
I think it actually depends on whether or not they're having to license their engine with it. Because if they're having to license their engine with it, then usually the numbers are much higher.
Right.
Or if they have to do a lot of work afterwards, their numbers are higher for a while. But I think I think for something that's actually just handed off to Steam done, it's like 25 or 30%. It's
Right.
not a lot.
Hmm.
But they do actually take a cut. I think par rate's 30. Par rates for most outfits like that's 30% anyway.
Yeah, I mean, for the exposure the games get and stuff like that. That
Well, it's having a stable distribution platform that really costs. I mean, they're spending money on their bandwidth, their this, their that, their everything, and that's kind of. And I think actually you pay more if it's one of those online only games where they're having to provide server space and bandwidth,
right.
as opposed to you doing it.
Exactly.
So if you have an MMORPG that runs through the Steam servers, you're going to cough up for it,
Exactly. Yep.
and you're not
Makes
allowed
sense.
to change the MSRP. As far as what anybody off Steam would pay. Um, so if I put out, let's say I was Square Enix and put out Final Fantasy 14, I would owe them whatever my cut was, despite the fact that I sell it on my own store. I have a set rate for my store, and the Steam store cannot be higher than that. But if I cut back the price, and if I cut back the price on my store, I have to do the same thing on the Steam store.
Right.
If I cut it back on the Steam store and not on my store, then that's on me, which would still be kind of a dick move. But you can change the MSRP anytime you like, as long as it doesn't exceed whatever it is you're selling it for. You're selling it for elsewhere. Um, I hope you die in a fiery car crash. Well, that's kind of a troll move. Screw that. Threats of assault. Threats of battery is actually assault. That person could be prosecuted criminally for that. He's really not going to get much more than a slap on the wrist. You're shady. That's an opinion, obviously. You were again in this context spelled wrongly. Why that would be your without the apostrophe or the e. Company impersonates other companies. Well, the company that you were alleged to have impersonated seemed to think you were impersonating them. So I'm going to take that as read. You need to. I think. Yeah. You need to fuck off and get off the system where we do business. Well, they want you out of the Steam store, and I can't really blame them. You're bringing down you're bringing down the value of the rest of the real estate. That's not a threat. It's just telling you to crawl back under your rock. And that's actually just a generic comment, criticism, etc. You will be made an example of. Well, yeah, that's kind of a threat, but unfortunately, they're already doing this well enough for themselves. So really, that's not even a thing. I feel sorry for your kids having such an incompetent parent. That kind of stings. Okay, as a parent myself, and I know you are too, Zach.
Uh-huh.
You've got a 10-year-old at least. I don't know if you've got any others.
Hmm.
You got a 10-year-old boy. I have a almost 6-year-old boy. He'll be 6 in less than 2 weeks, or actually just over 2 weeks. And I don't like being called an incompetent parent, but at the end of the day, people say stupid shit because they don't think they can be tracked down. And as a result, species occurs. I've had people send me death threats that I don't consider credible. And just for having it, just because in the guise of one of the characters on one of my other videos, I decided to decided to chew through some target that badly deserved it.
Hmm.
That being said, there are people that are behind that exist behind the images and that were used for those. I don't have contact with most of them at this point. There are people, and the characters that are done are based on them, and I consulted with those people when I was doing videos in their names. to get kind of their opinion as well as any other opinions that might have been forthcoming. And it's part of what took so long to make those videos. But yeah, it's kind of a thing. I was eventually at the end of the day, I was the one writing the scripts, be it my opinion or not. I was the one doing all the images. I was the one doing all the recordings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's a lot of freaking work. And you would know that, Zach. Zach, I think you've actually made a couple of not video game related videos. Not in the same way that I have. My poor computer is just not hacking it anymore. But I've already complained about that once today, and I'll complain about that in a separate
future video. Yeah, I mean, if you really look at their website, and I kind of looked at that more, I certainly didn't dig into the actual court documents or anything like that, but I did look at their website where you're reading now, and really it looked like, basically what I read when I read it, I was like, it sounded like a 4-year-old trying to tell mom that he hit me, he called me a poopy head, he called me a doo-doo. That's
why I referred to why I said that they were suing Jim Sterling, because he was a poo-poo meathead.
Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous.
Because that's exactly what it sounds like. I expect that behavior out of the other boy I have here. He's sleeping over there in the other room. He's 19 months old, and it's something that I would think that he would say. Not that he actually knows that word at this point, but it's the sort of thing that I would expect out of the pre-5 demographic.
Right. For I don't know how much more we got of this, but for the sake of keeping this under 3 hours, we probably might want to wrap this up pretty soon. But I just want to go ahead and say that with this court case here, I fully expect that by the time this gets wrapped up, everybody will pretty much see digital homicide as digital suicide.
Yeah, digital suicide. Yeah, I like that. I like it a lot. Yeah, digital suicide would be about right. Actually have a presiding judge in this case already. This is actually the end of that thing here.
Do they have a court case date?
No, there's not a date listed. It's just the filing date, the case number, Arizona District Court in the Phoenix Division Office in Yuma. The presiding judge is listed as John J. Tucci, and unfortunately, the only thing I can really think, the thing that I feel sorry for this judge, because this is going to remind anybody that's ever followed the webcomic help desk is going to draw a parallel between the judge there that takes all of the Ubersoft complaints and this poor guy right here. And I feel badly for him because of it. It's really going to be not great for him, I think. Anyway, we were going to take a look at the news from the Belgium attack. So anyway,
terrorist attack, Brussels, Belgium.
Anyway, in the end, my opinion at the end of this, digital homicide hasn't got a leg to fucking stand on, and what they are going to try and do is only going to make matters worse as far as they're concerned. It's already proving a positive thing for Jim, and this is going to.
It's making them look like shit.
Okay, there's a relatively famous internet meme, and I'm going to see if I can find it real quick.
Okay.
I had a copy of it here. It's there it is. I found it. View the image. Can we view that? Okay, that's actually the full size. I think there's some other versions of it. Come on. Nope. That's too much. Come on, click. Is that one bigger? Yeah. Not really. Okay. All right. Let me grab this image. Let me click on the view image. And I'm actually half tempted to turn that into turn this thing into wallpaper at the moment. This is pretty much what I have to say. Well, pretty much my final thought on this here, and then you can have your say on it. Switch the screen share. Switch the screen share window here. Yes, I'm using a window. I'm using Windows Photo Viewer. You can simulator if you really have to. Click. Oh, that's the right window. Okay, and that screen share. Up the next one right here. This is going to end in a disaster, and you have no one to blame but yourself. Okay.
Overconfidence.
This is a supreme case of overconfidence. And once again, this is going to end badly. And, James and Robert, the Romines, are going to have no one to blame but themselves. They just won't. There's nothing for it at this point. They don't appear to have the brain power to know what the hell they're doing. And that's not a good thing. For the record, I just grabbed this off of a Google Internet image search overconfidence meme. There are several others, sometimes with different wordings. This one here comes to us courtesy of Meme Center. Thanks, guys. Much appreciated. All right. So moving on, we're gonna click that over here and that thing, and let's get what's good. I want to do that. Yeah, let's. I don't like the Telegraph as a news source, but apparently they have something fairly recent that isn't. That doesn't seem to be otherwise stilted or ideologically driven completely. I have less to say about CNN, but they don't seem to have any more recent coverage than the Telegraph does. Besides which, the Telegraph is closer. Brussels explosions, up to 13 dead. Oh, it looks like it's been updated. In Zaventem Airport, a suicide attack amid third blast on a metro train. Following arrest of Paris atrocity suspect Salah Abdeslam. Is that right? Yeah, it's as close as I'm going to get anyway. I don't actually have this image here. There should be one. I would think there would be one. Or that's all they've got, maybe. I don't know.
May not have a lot more news.
Well, they may not have a lot more information.
Mm-hmm.
They've got some. Let's see. Oh, it's actually kind of a blog roll thing. Recap everything we know so far. At least 13 people are feared dead and many more injured after terrorist bomb attacks on the main airport and metro system in Brussels this morning. Apparently, this happened just a little while ago. At the time we were alerted to it, it had gone on about 30 minutes earlier. That's been probably half an hour ago now. We'll know in a minute. Coordinated attacks came as the Belgian capital was on a high level of alert following the arrest of a Paris atrocity suspect. And I'm not going to bother with his name again. I'm just going to butcher it a third time. Something like that. Screw it. Shots fired and shouting in Arabic at the airport. And what the Belgian media says is a suicide attack. This may or may not be true. We don't know exactly, and it's not like there's a lot of details. This is not. We have multiple news sources reporting this in different directions, and my thoughts go out to the folks that were affected by this.
Absolutely, all those affected, whether they be family members or friends or
just people that were in the vicinity.
Exactly.
That's just people that will probably not sleep for quite a while, just because somebody was being a shit. Okay, and they have a link Looks like might be a video. Let's see. It's a video that I'm not gonna stick with it. Nope, it's a story. Okay. Okay, so there have been 3 different bombs, 2 in the departure lounge at the airport and 1 at a metro station right near the European Parliament building. Oh,
Oh,
that's
wow.
just great. That's
Just-
outstanding. Someone set the timer on his bomb incorrectly or something. And unofficial reports of up to 25 dead. And I can see how this is going to go. There's going to be a huge uproar in Europe about the Muslim immigrant problem. A bunch of people are going to get creamed, and most of the social justice warriors will start screaming about Islamophobia, Islamophobia and racism.
Well, that's exactly what this is intended to do. I mean, it's to strike fear into people that.
Yeah, because terrorists bomb places to scare people. Terrorists, terror. It doesn't take a degree in Latin to see where that comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the best thing we can do, honestly, is not talk about it very much. I mean, yeah, we're here right now to acknowledge that it happened, but I don't intend to say anything more about it after we wrap this up.
Nope.
This is not cool. I want to say right now, however, that Islamophobia, people have a reason to be scared of Islam at this point, especially the people that are closest to what's actually going on in Europe. I know people were terrified after the 9/11 attack, and no, I don't want to hear anything about how that's a false flag. I don't want to hear it. I don't want it. You're going to you guys are going to run through a bunch of outdated conspiracy theories that have, for the most part, been completely shut down.
Yeah.
And that's just it's not gonna fly. I don't want to do a whole video on 9/11. It's bullshit. Miles Power did a very nice one. Did a very nice whole series on it. You could talk to him. In fact, go do that now if you really think that was a conspiracy. Occam's razor says no. It was probably exactly what it looked like. Anyway, back to it. Islam is a religion. It is not a race. You cannot be racist against Islam because the Arabs or the folks from the Middle East, they are in according to the usual run through, they're actually Caucasians. They have a different culture. Fine, they can have that culture. As long as they don't try and drag the rest of us down with it. I don't care. They can keep their culture in their little space, and don't start demanding that everybody else respect your religion. Freedom of religion is a thing in most of the Western world and significant chunks of the Far East. Especially Japan and Korea. That's also freedom from religion, and ask that you respect that. That's kind of the front and back end of that. Social justice warriors can roast me now if they want. That's my opinion, and I'm allowed to have it. I don't know what you think of that, Zax, but
Absolutely. I agree 100% with you. I mean, people are entitled to their own opinion, and nobody should be forced to or have to have beliefs shoved down their throat at any level. People have free will, just like the freedom of speech that we were talking about with the majority of this video. Jim Sterling and his freedom of speech about a video game that he bought and played has now turned into a $10.7 million lawsuit because the developers for these games believe that he used his freedom of speech improperly and somehow affected their cells, et cetera, et cetera. It's all about freedom of speach.
Freedom of and here's kind of if you want to go ahead and restart your video, please do. Because we're actually kind of moving off and go ahead and restart the screen share since we're kind of winding down here.
Mm-hmm.
I still think that their selector here is way too funny. Their character select screen. Most of this is just hilarious. Go ahead and restart your screen share.
Should be going.
I don't know.
You might have to refresh your YouTube page if you're looking.
Well, I can see it because I was clicked on you.
Yeah.
How about the chat, folks? Can you guys see?
Let's move it a little bit further in the video because I was talking about the characters at some point or something. There we go.
Anyway, freedom of speech means that you are welcome to say what you like, and nobody can stop you from saying what you like. But at the same time, you have to face the consequences of that, if there are any. Freedom of speech also comes with the freedom to offend and be offended. It also comes with if you put yourself out there on something like that, if you put yourself out there in some way, people are free to critique you, and you're free to be pissed off at them for it. But ultimately, they are entitled to their opinion. They're entitled to tell you what their opinion is, whether you like it or not. You don't get freedom from criticism, which is a thing that Anita Sarkeesian and the rest of the social justice out there seem to think that they want, or actually are demanding in large parts of both this country and in Europe. You are not free to restrict the speech of others. You're free to try and punish them for it if you can, if they've actually broken a law that is put in place But I don't see from Jim's perspective, or even from the Romine brothers' perspective, where anything that has been said or done is really all that illegal, except of course the thinly veiled threats from the Romine brothers of doxing and lawsuits and whatnot from before, and even those were over a year ago. While the initial saga was going on, the reviewer video, that was fine. He doesn't, he would, the Romines were free to speak on this. They were free to rag on Jim. Not cool. It's not cool to attack the person doing it. You should attack the work and not the person doing the work, because that's actually more intellectually honest. Jim didn't start picking on Digital Homicide directly until after they after they went personal.
They went personal first, in my opinion, from what I saw.
Well, from all the information that I could find, they went personal long way before first.
I think anybody knows that they basically got their feelings hurt because Jim picked on their game,
and
they put a lot of time into it, as we've already covered. Games take a lot of work.
Obviously, a proper game would take work. This looks like it could have been done in a couple of hours. Or at most, 3 or 4 days or a week.
Right.
This looks like something that you would see coming out of a game jam, where you had just a few hours to work, or something.
All I can say is if he really put the 6,000 hours into this game, like you said, 6,000 hours of code or whatever it was he said.
Well, he said 6,000 hours of coding, 6,000 hours of coding work, but you got to realize that's 18 games on Steam Greenlight right now, and another however long But he said the 18. But he said I think he said 1,000 hours for the like 5 or 6 games he had up at the time, or for the 5 projects that he said he could have completed in that time. 200 hours a piece. That's what, 5 weeks. Put 5 weeks of full time work. I mean,
Yeah,
really.
it's a long time. I mean, you're talking about. I know at some point he said 6,000 hours of coding or whatever.
Well,
You
that's
divide
what he
that
was.
by
That was what he supposedly sacrificed, or what he supposedly lost in terms of what he in terms of the time for the products that he could no longer sell. Except that he's again trying to sell them, so this isn't even an issue.
it's
This
not
stopped being an issue a while ago. Um, Again, Jim Sterling said bad things about their game. They got butt hurt,
exactly.
and that was pretty much, and that's pretty much the long and the short of it. I mean, their butt hurt has been dragging on as a feud between them and Jim for over a year and a half now, I think, since the Slaughtering Grounds was actually produced. I don't actually have what since whenever it was the Slaughtering Grounds came out. Um, Let me just grab this here because I can get to the store page real quick.
I think we can cover a lot of truth by saying that they spent however much time making this game, hoping to make a lot of money on this game or other games on Steam, and instead they get a sarcastic, probably not too friendly towards them YouTube character reviewing their game and making a mockery of their game. And they realize that this YouTuber, Jim Sterling, has made a hell of a lot more money in mocking their game than they will ever make on their games.
Right. And we're talking about a release date here, October 31, 2014. I mean, you've got, and with, just really extremely annoying things going on. I mean, if this was something actually worth the time or the trouble or even the money, then yeah, maybe they might have a case because he's being mean at them. Actually, they don't even really have a case then, but it would still be, what the hell is this shit? If they and actually, it's been my opinion, and this is actually borne out, is he actually welcomed the one game that they did, that the most recent game they put on Greenlight or put out on Steam, Wizards or Dungeons of Cragmore or whatever that was.
Mm-hmm.
He thought that was actually a fun time. In fact, Robert Romine during the playtime, the Jim Pressions / Squirty Play episode that Jim did, he went through and Robert happened to be on the server at the time, and it took him a couple of deaths, but Robert was actually playing the game and Jim managed to PvP his ass.
Okay. But then again, to some degree, when you go into each of these games with such low expectations after playing the shit they've had before, pretty much anything might impress you.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of where it goes. And actually, I was watching the footage of Dungeons of Cragmore. It actually looks pretty good, kind of World of Warcraft-ish. But yeah, how hard could it be to actually make something kind of cartoony and cel shady almost? It's really not that hard. So anyway, I think at this point it's been almost 3 hours since the stream started. We should probably wrap this up. Anything you want to say to the gang there, Zax?
Not a whole lot. I just want to say that Digital Homicide, I believe, has been known for a couple of years at least for basically trying to sell Steam community shit, and they know it, and they've pretty much gotten away with it, and they're continuing to get away with it by Steam allowing them to sell their shit to us. And now with this new court case, they have pretty much put their latest shit right in their pants and the whole world is going to see what a digital suicide this whole is.
Oh, yeah, you're kind of late here, Shesky, but that's okay. You'll be able to watch it in a few minutes on the channel. You'll be able to watch it in its entirety.
Yep, all 3 hours of it. No glory.
Sorry about that, Zax. I really had.
You're fine, man. I've enjoyed it, and it's been a pleasure working with you.
Absolutely, we should do this some more.
We absolutely should. And I've gotten familiar with a few. It looks like of your followers on your channel.
Well, there's not quite 3,600 of them. Most of them originally turned up because I had Internet Aristocrat videos. Some of them actually thought I was making them. And then I started making, every time I put up a video, I'd lose a couple and then gain a bunch more. So I don't know how many of them are actually subscribed because they are too apathetic to fix it or to change that, and they forgot about it or what the hell ever, because I was out not in my happy place for months.
Oh, wow.
And this is actually a way to kind of get back and start working again. This is something I've been planning for. I've been kind of waiting for all day. And it finally got quiet enough, and I could get a spare hand. And I do appreciate that, Zach. We definitely have to do this again. Not necessarily for something quite this crap, though. We could probably get better. We could probably grab some footage into a good game review next time.
That sounds like a plan. Well, it's been a pleasure working with you and seeing you again on some of my videos and getting to know you. And this was definitely an experience. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. Whether Digital Homicides pulls the lawsuit and retreats, or if it goes to court. And
well, if it goes to court, there is the possibility of a precedent being set, and a precedent in favor of fair use would be outstanding for everyone.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't see honestly at this point, if it goes to court, I don't see a way for anyone to lose. Either whatever it is that whatever it is that is fair use and freedom of speech is going to be better defined, or it's going to be better defined. Regardless of the result, we're going to get a better definition of what fair use and freedom of speech is, and that's not a bad thing.
It's not. I mean, there are definitely some rules and laws there that need to be rewritten and better explained based on.
We do need some clarification, and the only way to get it at this point, because we're not going to get it from the legislators. They think they've done enough, and it's the fact that the Digital Millennium Copyright Act is in the condition was passed in the shape that it's in. We're either going to gain or lose rights depending on what actually winds up being what winds up happening at the end of the day. Correct. And the DMCA claim is going to come up, and if the judge orders that the Romines, judge or the jury orders that the Romines be held accountable for that, then that's even better.
I would love that. I would love that.
And that's just the way. Oh, I wish the Romines all the luck in the world. I really do. I want to see this go to a court of law. I want to see a decision for or against. I want to see a decision because it's a decision that interests me, and I think there's a lot of people. What you're seeing the GoFundMe page? We shouldn't be. Darn it! How about try and
refresh? Hit F5 on your keyboard.
Yeah. Because we haven't been on the GoFundMe page for a long time. It's been most of an hour since we got off the GoFundMe page. Because if you're not seeing that now, then then something's not right.
Still, and I haven't looked at their last game, but still, I believe that if these two brothers, or James Romine, they were to spend the amount of time and effort in a video game that they are putting into attacking Jim Sterling and trying to sue Jim Sterling,
They could make one hell of a game.
they could make one hell of a game.
Okay, if they took all the time they spent on all the titles that they put out so far and did one good title, they could put together, a year and a half now almost.
Can you imagine how much more respect they would get?
I know, right? That's kind of where I'm at with this. Game development takes time, it takes effort, it takes, some patience. You don't walk into game development thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna make $1 million next week." That's not gonna happen. Not without a whole bunch of work. How long did it take to produce Fallout 4? Like 5 years, 5-6 years, however long it was between Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. Fallout New Vegas wasn't even done by the same team that did Fallout 3. I mean, that was and they had the planning for Fallout 4 in place by the time they had actually started the planning and the discussions and the meetings and all that stuff to get their shit together for Fallout 4 by the time Fallout 3 even released. 5 years for a game like that. I don't know how long Phil Fish spent on Fez, but I'm sure it was at least a year or two. Most developers that I know are looking at a long game before they can get a product to full-time work, before they can get a product to the market, or even try and submit a product to market. And that's where things like all the Unit Z ripoffs and this and a lot of the other stuff, it drives me absolutely spare. They
is crazy.
So much better.
And the thing is, I mean, the difference between a game like this and a game made with heart and passion is one thing. You simply give a game back to the developer who made it, and if the developer doesn't want to play their own game, then that really tells you that there probably wasn't a whole lot of heart and soul put in this game. And I guarantee you that the developers who made this game, they don't want to play this shit. So why they would be so butthurt over?
Why are they asking us for money? Asking us for money
and being so butthurt about people not liking it, like Jim Sterling?
Yeah,
I
know they see this obviously as personal attack, and I can understand where an indie dev would see a bad review as a not good thing, because it would really not be. As far as their potential for sales, it's like the guy with Bear Simulator. PewDiePie slagged the game off, and he said, "Nope, I quit. We're done. We're done here. Moving on." Really, what I probably would have done was taken that. What I would personally have done was taken that on the nose, and seeing what his criticisms were, and then seeing if it could even be fixed. And if it could be fixed, then do it. I mean, PewDiePie actually said, and he deleted it. He dumped the video right after that because his response, because he didn't. I don't think he even thought it was necessarily fair. But he said that at this point the video wasn't so much a reaction video as it was a PSA about not buying the game. And that was, he wound up putting it back up. But that's just kind of a thing. Shisky says he just finished playing the latest Fallout 4 DLC. I have not seen it. And that's because I am part of the PC master race and not an Xbone user. I don't usually buy games like that on consoles because, well, I really don't like my role-playing games in that fashion. If only because it's a pain in the ass to try and manipulate the UI with a controller. That's really irritating for me.
Right.
Besides which, I can, within a few days after launch, usually on a best soft game or any other game that can be modded, I can get mods for them in fairly short order. Besides, I'll see the DLCs eventually anyway. I'm gonna once I get my head wrapped around what the first of the DLCs looks like, then I'll probably just buy the season pass and get them all. If the first one looks like it might be worth 10 or $20, because I think the season pass for Fallout 4 is 4 DLCs. If the first one looks like it might actually be worth 10 or 15 or $20, then I'll just spring for it all. Oh, cool! It's that they've actually pushed it to Steam now. That means I get to go have a look at it here.
Well, there you go, Kage. It's been a pleasure working with you tonight. I'm going to go ahead and say so long at this point. So long to the people watching in the chat, and it's been fun.
There's a card running around here someplace on for Zaxtor's channel. And of course, if you like what we do here, feel free to thumbs up or down or whatever you like. If you're going to thumb down, please tell me why. I would really appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel. Stick around for a while. We're going to be doing more of it. Go over to Zax's channel, subscribe there. Please go subscribe there. He does really good work. And he actually has more money than I do to spend on games. So that's
well, thanks for that there.
So he actually can get hold of some of the more recent stuff that I just don't have the budget for. Or if you want to give me the budget for it, I certainly take donations for them. Or if you check the description on any of the videos thus far, you'll find a link to my personal Steam page. And if you donate a game that away, I will be more than happy to review it. Just let me just hit me up for a just break out the friend invites, and make a little gift thing out, and off we go. I will, and at some point in the near future, I will go ahead and review it. That's kind of the way this channel's operated for quite a long time now, and I don't see a reason to change that now. And maybe if I pick on Zax enough, he'll even join me.
That sounds like a plan. We'll have to do that sometime. Get in the game together and have fun and maybe talk about something besides Digital Homicide. And
yeah, that would be. You know what? Yeah, I kind of like to get a good game that would be that would work for. That would be actually worth talking about in some more realistic ways than just slagging off Digital Homicide. But I shall await my summons to an Arizona courtroom now.
Well, just think, Kage, if we've talked about Digital Homicide and this atrocity of a court case and their game, The Slaughtering Ground specifically, which we spent a lot of majority of the time tonight talking about for 3 hours, imagine how much we might be able to talk about an actual good game.
Yeah, no kidding. I know, right? I'm actually, believe it or not, I actually should get on to Fallout 4. Do you have a copy of that by some chance?
Copy of what?
Fallout 4.
I don't.
Because that was actually one of the games that was donated. I said I'd do a review on it, and I just could not bring I just kind of, I had some problems getting it to run initially, and then I've got a bunch of footage from it that I recorded. We could just sit and talk over it for an hour or two, or we could start playing and do a weird thing on it. I don't know if you've got a copy of it or not, or what you might have it on. So,
nope, I don't have a copy of Fallout 4, a game I have not bought yet. I do play some AAA games that I show an interest in. But there are so many good games out there. There's so many games that are indie games that are lesser known. I really put a lot of my focus into the indie games more so than the AAA games, unless it's just something that I really want to play.
Yeah, and actually, I've got a rather large Steam library too. If you want to, if anybody wants to suggest something that's already present, Try not to get the games that suck. I know I've done a few. And please, 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 please look through the other videos, any of the Ren reviews videos before you make a suggestion, because there is at least a minimal chance that I've already covered it. So so anyway, I think with that we're going to wrap this up. Freedom of speech is good, and if you think you can restrict, and if you think you have a better idea of what fair use is than we do, then by all means, let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do about that. To the Romine brothers, again, just let it go, dude.
Take it on the chin and walk away and do something better.
Walk away. Put some more work into your Dungeons of Cragmore game. It looks really good. If I was willing, if I had the $12 to put out for it, we'd probably sit here and do it for 3 hours.
Yep, we could shoot each other in that. But you know what? I'll see what I can do about getting us into that game there. Okay.
That could be actually a lot of fun. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna drop the live portion here. You guys all have fun. Don't hurt yourself, and try not to pick on the Anita Sarkeesian game devs too much now. All right.
You guys have a good day. Good night. Enjoy playing whatever game you guys enjoy. Take care.
Let's make games fun again.